Welcome back to Bulletproof Mindset, your go-to podcast for health, fitness and entertainment. Today, we are back with the guest episodes and it's a privilege to welcome Harry Woodhall onto the show. He is the founder of his own gym, Greater Than, which is a small group training facility in Glasgow. And we dove into his story today, so you're going to hear all about how someone went from just over 19 stone and lost all that weight with no guidance whatsoever, how he got into the mixed martial arts scene, how he got into jiu-jitsu, and then pivoted into bodybuilding, and then pivoted into high rocks. So he's really been I think if you said it in the show, like a jack of all trades, but definitely not a master of none. He's went up and showed up into each one of these pillars of, I guess, fitness, if you want to call it. And it's led him to finding his own passion. And not only that, just doing a pretty damn good job at being a very successful PT. So you're going to hear all about his story today. It was a privilege, as I said, to welcome him on the show, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Now, before we get into the episode, just one real quick message for you guys. If there is any of you who are new around here, I release episodes every Monday, which are typically solo episodes, and once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks I'm going to release a guest episode, so make sure you stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, consider leaving a 5-star rating on the show. It's the best way to support. And without further ado, check out the link in description if you like what Harry's about and you maybe working around Glasgow, or maybe you live in around Glasgow and you fancy joining his amazing community in this small group facility. You're going to see a link for that in the show notes below. So yeah, I think that's enough from me. Let's get into the show. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Right, where I want to start is, how would you define yourself? Because when you go on your Instagram page, small group owner, and I was scrolling because I like to do this with any guest that comes on, I was like, I forgot you competed in, was that the Motherwell Civic?
Aye.
Because I remember my mate competed in that, and I think that's where I recognised you before. And then obviously when we had shown on the podcast and then seen your brand pop up, I was like, this guy's face is familiar. And it wasn't until I was going, I was like, I thought you competed in that show back in the day. So bodybuilder, high rock. Would you class yourself as a bodybuilder?
Not anymore.
Nah,
no.
The day's gone.
It's, do you know what, like, bodybuilding was a big part of my life, but I wouldn't define myself as a bodybuilder, but I would have defined myself as a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really define myself as a high rocks guy either. Do you know what I mean?
No.
When it comes to training and stuff like that, I would say I kind of define myself as a bit of everything.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like a bit of like hybrid, innit? Really? I don't like saying that, but I hate it because it's just
it's got a negative connotation.
It's a pure buzzword, man. Like, but I think like the real idea of what hybrid is just a bit of everything, innit? Really, it's like a jack of all trades, but you're not a jack. You're actually right at it. Do you know what I mean?
Like it, aye.
But I definitely, like, we'll speak about bodybuilding and that because that was a massive part. I also competed in MMA and jiu-jitsu as well.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because it's not only that, like, you know, just get the aesthetic side of things, you get the functional side of things, but you actually got the fighting to back it up as well. So they generally have this all-rounded approach. So take us back then, like, were you quite fit growing up in that sort of stuff, or were you into sports?
I was a wee fat guy.
Oh, yeah?
Aye. So like, I wouldn't even bring my PE kit to school.
Really?
Like, I was overweight, mate. Like, so I was like 19 and a half stone.
Right.
I went from 19 and a half stone, 12 and a half in 1 year. And
was
then
this high school?
No, this was like when I was about 20, 21 after high
right,
school.
okay, right.
So basically, I kind of never lost weight when I was in school. I was like quite heavy in school. And then over time, I kind of just got heavier and heavier. Got an office job as soon as I left. Got even fatter. Was like, I can't remember 19 and a half or 20, right? But then I was like, one day, I was just like, me and all my mates still in the skills, right? And they're like, oh, like the big thing, you put 20p in, it goes right round.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right?
So it shows you how far down the dial
exactly. So they were like 12 and a half, 13. Normal people, like, I was also 6 foot.
He's a big boy.
As well, right? So mine keeps going round to like 19 and a half, 20. I'm pretty sure it only went to 24, right? So it was basically, imagine the whole circle, 24's here, right? Was right round to about here, right? And I'm like, fucking hell, man, this is embarrassing. I need to deal with this, man, like, badly.
So is that one of the first kind of big wake up, or did you have a couple?
That was the first one, definitely.
Right?
That was the first one. And I remember I booked in with a PT, did one session with them, never went back to them. The reason for that was in the waterfront gym, they used to have this like in Greenock, this like kind of circle functional bit. It was called the functional area.
Right, okay.
And they actually used to run functional fitness classes.
This was a council gym?
Aye, this was 2009, 2010, right? Before functional was a thing, right? Or before it was cool. And it got me skipping, mate, right? And I was fat as fuck. And I was just
You could just feel it.
I could feel people looking at me, mate. Right. Number one, because I couldn't skip. Number two, because I was a fat guy that couldn't skip. Right? And I was like, I'm not going back to that. But where it also helps me there is like, see, whenever I'm like dealing with like fat loss clients, it also makes it so much easier for me to coach them. Because I'm like, right, I want them to be so far away from that feeling that they don't feel it. Do you know what I mean? Because it was so embarrassing. Then I ended up just doing it myself.
Was it a self kind of?
So I went down to 12 and a half stone over a year. Just did loads of cardio, loads of running. Never really lifted too many weights.
Where did you go for like what to do?
Mate, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just fucking winging it, man. I was
looking up anything?
Genuinely, mate. There was no Google. There was no like. There was nothing like. It was like Ask Jeeves or something at that point, right? So there was nothing really to look at. So it was just like kind of like go with the flow here and just see what happens. So like I would weigh myself and I'd see the weight coming off and I'd be like, I'm on the right track here. That was literally the only metric. There was no like influencers going like, don't weigh yourself every day. Like focus only on how you look. Take progress pictures, which is one of my fucking biggest regrets is that I never took a progress picture. Yeah. There's a picture of me when I was like maybe 18 and a half stone, and then there's a picture of me like when I had lost weight, and it was on my ex's trampoline. It wasn't even like a progress picture, but you could see the side. Oh, you could see the side shot, and you could see that I definitely lost weight. Right. Somebody's like, I mean, you should put them two pictures together, and I put them together, and I was like, I think I must have been one of the first people today like, on Facebook, like in Greenock, who done a before and after picture.
How old are you?
I'm 34, 35
right,
year.
So a couple of years, like I'm, what am I said, what age am I? Oh, I'm 32 this year. See, once you get in your 30s, you just go, it's like, just 30. It's just 30.
I know, just 30, 30 something.
So you're in that space where you're growing up, and you're right, you don't have Instagram, like Facebook became a thing. It was Bebo and all that, MySpace before. And it wasn't like, and I don't remember it being influencer-y type.
No.
That's just a thing that's happened over the last 10 years. But you're right, the metric that you've used, you think is good. Like, it's like, right, that number's high, that means I'm fat. That number needs to go lower, and then I'm no fat. That's the only kind of guidance. So that's, what age are you here, like 20?
So 1920, so 1920. So I had just left school, got the job in the call centre. It was TSC, but we were working for T-Mobile. Basically, it was a well-run outsource.
Was it salesy types role, or was it more like accounts?
It was customer service, but it was sales, because if somebody came through to you and like, let's just say they were due an upgrade or something like that, you'd like sell them, or you sell them an extra line on their thing, mate, or whatever, or like broadband or whatever. When we moved to actual T-Mobile, because I moved from TSC to T-Mobile, it was like more sales I was working for in them, but it was literally just sitting down all day, eating shite. Everybody else was eating shite.
The office one was the wake up call for me. Like, I was fitness orientated in high school, and I was a wee skinny guy. I was kind of long distance runner. I liked that, but I was like, I need to get mass on, and I just was eating, and it was just going like, it was going to my legs and everything like that. And then when I get the office job, that's when I was like, oh, my t-shirts are filling it, but my belly started filling it as well, like loads of sausage in the morning. Do you know,
see, talking about metrics actually, I remember like, so the tables that I used to sit at and work, right, I remember my belly used to touch the table like at a certain distance away from it, because I was like, where the keyboard was, it was like I had to start moving it further and further back as I was losing weight, right? So that was like one of my other metrics. I remember my belly would touch the table, and then just after a while, it just wouldn't touch the table as soon anymore.
So like, oh, this is fucking working.
It's just that, because there was not, like we were saying, there was no, like when we coach a client, like we go through all these metrics,
so
like
many different ways
what's
to
your
measure
pictures, what's your like, what's your actual measurements, what's your weight, like usually we try and use weight as the last metric so they don't get pure fixated on a weight. But it still works.
I think this is an interesting conversation to jump in for you, like firsthand, because there's so many different ways that people go about their fat loss, and you've went in it, and I think most people that we end up getting through the door have tried that approach from you before. So did you have a rebound at all, or did you kind of keep the weight off and start to pivot?
I would say my first actual rebound was probably after I'd done my first show.
Well, was it?
I never rebounded hard. The wee fat guy in me still in me. He'll always be in me. He always wants to have a wee couple of days out. My mates always call, like they always say that you've got an alter ego and it's Fat Harry, right? And they're always like, let's get Fat Harry back out and that. Like, obviously because it's a laughing at, right? But obviously back then it was like pints and just getting smashed and eating loads of shit, do you know what I mean? But I think like when it comes to like the actual, like the best way to do it, I think people just overcomplicate it now. Like, see that's the thing, that's what made it so easy for me back then. There was nothing to complicate it. It was just like, right, I've not really got a clue what I'm doing here, but I'm just going to keep doing this, and if it works, it works. Kind of like that thing, throw shit at it once, see what sticks. Do you know what I mean? Like, and funnily enough, the stuff that I was doing just was fine. My weight was coming down. I wouldn't have what I would have changed though is I'd have lifted weights.
Yeah.
Like, because I was just a skinny wee guy, like so skinny.
I was gonna say, did you notice that? Like, so you lost all the weight and then you became like skinny, flabby.
So you go from like one insecurity to another one.
Yeah.
So now you're like, right, I was a fat guy, now I'm a skinny guy. It's like, fuck, better start lifting weights. Aye. And then it was after that, I was like, right, I'm feeling a bit skinny, so I should probably start lifting some weights.
So you still not really touch weights then until?
Not really, mate. No. So even
20s?
when I was like, so I actually went from like, so when I lost the weight, that's when I started doing like martial arts. I started doing like mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, started competing in both as well.
Why? What was the jump there for you? So like,
Why did I even get into it? Do you know what it was? It was when MMA was cage fighters, right? You know what I mean? Like they don't get called cage fighters anymore because it was cool to be a cage fighter. You wanted to just be you're a guy, and it was just a pure toxically masculine thing. Like I want to be a cage fighter. Tell everybody, and then you'd wear a cage fighter tops and that. Like what was it? Tap out and all that. Remember that?
Tap Out's still a brand, actually.
Aye,
is it?
I think so. Aye.
Oh man, that's a throwback and a half. You
And,
the big writing, and then went to small.
There was a picture I made my absolute biggest when I was in Team OL, right? And I've won a bottle of this big 2-litre bottle of whiskey, right? And I've got a t-shirt that says cage fighter on it, and I look and I had a bald day as well, mate. I had no hair. And I look at it and I'm like, fucking hell, man. Which is absolutely mad. So
you were actually getting into MMA or into this?
Yeah,
this
so
fight.
like it was like one day I just messaged this guy for like he's just a wee bit up full of than I am, right? In Greenock, so he was Port Glasgow. I had to get a bus and then I had to walk about a mile to get to the place, right? And inside the place, it was so cold, right? Like I actually remember one day, like we were sparring, I threw a leg kick and I honestly somebody checked it, so I just put the leg up. My toe went across here, man, and I think it's the sorest thing I've ever felt in my life. But so I started getting into it and just really enjoying it. Like it was again, it's like people don't like recognise the community enough with these things. Like it was a community of boys just coming in training. There was never really any lasses there. It was always mainly just guys.
Kind of sweat on and.
Aye, and it was like some guys would get a better of you in training and you'd get a better of them. And then it was like your metric then would be like, right, in 3 months' time I want to be getting a better of them in training. So then that's how I know I'm improving or whatever. But then we ended up coming up to Glasgow and training in the grip house because we found like they're like the best guys. They're getting all the best results and like all their guys are winning and doing well at shows and stuff like that. So we ended up training there. One of the boys that I went to the original gym with, the two of us just used to drive up there straight after work. Two of us work together. So we'd work 6 a.m. till 2 a.m, head straight to Glasgow, and we were there like 3 till 7 every single day. Like it was like full-time athlete, like 4 hours
just
a day.
Go for it, yeah.
Aye, 20 hours a week we would train.
Did you find that you had quite a natural, like talent might not be the right word, but a kind of natural giving to it because kind of being tall, longer athlete?
I would say like with jiu-jitsu, there was a lot of I needed to learn a lot. I never picked it up right away, like because it's so much problem solving. And like when I was in school, I wasn't like very good with education, right? Like obviously when it comes to coaching and stuff like that, that's what I'm good at, communicating in that.
You found your thing.
Aye, but like when it came to like jiu-jitsu, it's like so you're fighting with this guy, right? And like you're always like you're like about to do something, right? But you're going to think how is he going to react? And how am I going to react to his reaction? And then how am I going to react to the next reaction? So you're always thinking like 3 steps ahead. They always call it human chess because you're always kind of trying to think what's the next thing that's going to happen. So like I wasn't good at that at the start to begin with. What I found with though, like with jiu-jitsu, is like over time, like got me better at decision making, got me better at like not just reacting to things. Because like in jiu-jitsu, if you react the wrong way, you're fucked. You get tapped, you get a choke, you get an armbar, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I think it definitely got me better at like my way of like thinking about things, even studying. Like see, like when I used to study before and then I studied after jiu-jitsu, like I found that my brain just worked a lot better.
Yeah, it was just
do you know what I mean?
better.
Aye, definitely.
Did you find that you were like, was there ever any insecurity going into that sort of stuff? So when you look at lifting weights, you're like, I don't know about lifting weights. I'll just do this thing because this thing works. And then you go into what most people would think one of the most insecure environments to walk into, a bunch of guys fighting and all that sort of stuff, or do you feel it was
I think because like from my upbringing, right, I hung about in a young team, right, I seen some shit, right? So I think like when it comes to fighting and like knowing that it's controlled, like is absolutely fine. Like I was never ever worried that something bad was going to happen because I was like,
do you had confidence for that then? Like, as
I felt confident enough to go in, and I knew a few people who did it and stuff like that. So I felt confident like going into it. I knew obviously like so when you walk in the first time, you're in a room, right, and you're looking about and there's like you dare the fucking size up thing, right? You dare high rocks in the fucking warm up area, right?
Like, take him.
Aye.
Don't know about that guy though. He always pretty mean.
And it's always a wee guy that you don't expect that fucks you over.
Like that, you know.
Aye.
No, yeah.
But definitely, like there wasn't really an insecurity. It was more just like I would go in there for the first session, I'd be looking about, and I'd just be like, oh my god, man, I'm in a fight gym right now. These guys can actually fight.
Aye,
Whereas if you're on the street with somebody, 9 times out of 10 they can't fight.
Aye, it's a
Do you know
scrap,
what I mean?
isn't it?
It's like they're throwing shots and they don't even know what they're throwing, like windmills, man. You can just move back and do you know what I mean?
So actually, see, before we go forward, let's kind of go into like the childhood and upbringing. Have you got brothers and sisters or anything?
2 bros, 1 sister.
Right. Are you close as a family growing up? Like, what was that?
Me and my
situation?
sister are close. So we're like, what are you like? So Holly's, my sister's Holly. She's 24, so we're
Right.
10 years apart, are we?
Right.
Aye,
okay.
we're 10 years apart. So me and my wee sister's just like a shorter female version of me. Like
Right.
a part of the way she speaks, she goes out, like when I was like her age, I was obviously out getting mad with it all the time. She's like that, whereas my other 2 brothers aren't like that at all.
Right, okay.
They're the total opposites of us. So my wee brother Jamie, my big brother Duncan, they're pure gamers.
Right.
Pure like absolutely
Love
through
it.
and through. Love gaming. Like my wee brother will be online like for hours, 4 in the morning, like 12 till 4 sometimes. Me and my brother shared a room together, so 3 years in one room, man. It's fucking brutal, mate. Honestly, see, thinking back on it, I'm just like, how?
I know.
Like,
You see the standards that we have, like you're married now and
yeah,
probably looking to have kids or starting your own family, you're like, I need a size of house. Like, I need this if
Aye.
I'm going to have at least one kid. And you just think, like, how did grandparents and parents do that back in the day? Like 5, 6 kids under
mate.
one house.
Back then, see my house, I've just got a wee 2-bedroom flat in Shawlands. See back then, mate, you could have fit about 6 people in that house. Do you know what I mean?
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's absolute madness. But my brother's like my older brother, like we were close to a certain extent because he helped me a lot with like trying to like understand what I wanted to do, like help me trying to like get a job and stuff like that. Because I wanted to move to Glasgow. I knew I always wanted to come here. Like
Oh, really?
for the very start, for the very start, I always I never like Greenock's like that small town mentality. Like
Is it?
can't be arsed with it. Like
Aye.
everybody knows what you're doing, everybody knows who you've been with. Oh yeah, Potter, do you know what I mean?
That fresh, kind of clean slate, kind of discover who you want to be and all that.
Aye,
sort of stuff.
exactly, mate. Because I feel like everybody's like just so they just try and be somebody else when they're in that small town, just to try and kind of prove that
It's like status.
Aye,
Right.
aye, that's exactly what it is. Whereas you can just be like actually fully yourself if you're in a place where nobody knows you.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
So see, growing up and going through like high school, now, like what were some of the things that you were like, quite fancy doing that, or was it just get through this?
So the only subject I was actually good at, and I actually got an award for, by the way, was geography.
Oh, really?
So fucking random, mate. I pure loved it. I loved learning about like waterfalls, quarries, locks, fucking all that shit, like how things form and all that, right?
So you thought that's where you were going to
And
go?
I was like, right, I'm definitely going to be a geography teacher. And then I came back for 6th year, did my exams. I got like a B for my prelim. And then I was just after that, I was just like, I don't want to do this.
Nah.
I was like, I want to actually just go and earn some money. My mates were in those training schemes. Remember, like, I don't know if you remember that, but you went to it and it was like, it's just all the lads that were pure idiots in school, right? Like fucking idiots, basically. And you get on like work experience and all that, but you get paid like 60 quid a week. And I'm like, 60 quid a week, man? Fucking hell, man, that's a lot of money, man.
Jackpot, aye.
It's a lot of cash. I'm going to that.
What was it you ended up going to?
I ended up going to like a training scheme in Greenock, and it was like 60 quid a week, and it was like you went and you did like a bit of like thing experience, work experience, but you were in with your pals, right? It was
Just a laugh.
it was just a laugh, mate. But it was like such a waste of time, mate.
Was it?
Such a waste of time. It was ridiculous.
So see, at this point in your life, are you just kind of taking each week as it comes, you know, really kind of future?
I never really knew what I wanted
thought.
to do. Like I think like the whole time, like I always say this, I tell people this story every now and again. It's like I remember there was one day when I was like, so this is obviously I'm going to take it forward a wee bit. When I started working in the call centre, I went from T-Mobile to RBS, direct banking. So basically, if you phoned up, you wanted to do something with your bank, it was me to answer. And I remember one day I was just looking at, so it looked right out into the Clyde, and there was like a mad like Navy operation thing happening. There was hundreds of boats and all that, right? I remember looking at it and I was just like at myself, and then looking back into the work, and I was like, is this it? Like, is this it for the rest of my life? I think I was 22 at this point.
Right.
And I was started PT until I was 23. So I looked at it and I was like, is this fucking it? Is this me for the rest of my life? Looking around at all these like 45, 50-year-old people, pure, like always unhappy, like
Just something to type
shattered,
about. Aye.
just moaning all the time.
It's just the same thing. It's like life isn't that
Oh,
hard.
mate. And I was like, this cannot be it, man. Please tell me this isn't it. That was when my anxiety was the absolute highest. Like, because I was like,
Lost.
I don't want to be that person in 25 years. Or like,
Like, because it's us kind of our generation going into workplaces, you're like you've been in here for 20 years, 25, 30, and it's
Aye.
like, people don't jump around, but people jump jobs more often now. But you start seeing your life like,
mate, I know it's like, this cannot be me in 25 years. Like,
did you see when you landed the job though? Was there a buzz? Was it like, oh, this is me got an official like?
I think my
career?
first actual job. So I went from when I was in a training centre, and then I went to an actual workplace. That was TSC. It was also like, I'm not even kidding on, like about 75 metres from my house.
Was it? Oh, so perfect.
I think that might have also been an incentive, to be honest. And I got it, and I was like, I got my first wage in it, and I was like, class. So my first wage was, I think it was like 1,200 quid for like a full month's work, right? And I was like, class, man, this is quality. Like 1,200 quid, man, that's like most money I've ever had. And I took it all out of the bank so I could have it in my home. Aye. I was like, 1,200 quid. My mum's like, you lose 400 quid for rent. That's like 3 months worth or something. Like, fuck off, man. What the fuck? 400 quid? Get me in house for that.
Do you move out at any point in this time, or are you still? When do you actually make the move?
So when I was in RBS, so the story of how I became a PT and how I moved out is kind of similar, right? But so I moved out with my mate Martin. We were the first one out of our mates to have a flat, right? So it's fucking it got out of hand, man.
It's a gaff.
So we were I was in RBS working at the time. So I was only earning like, I went part time to go to college. So I was only earning about 700 quid a month maybe. He was like working like doing in like BAE systems. He was earning decent money. So he basically just paid council tax and paid like 75% of what the flat's actual rent was. So he was paying most of it basically. It was class. Like the independence was amazing, but it was like Thursday, Monday,
detriment of
Thursday to Sunday. It was like constant. I used to work a Sunday. 7 a.m. Was it 7 a.m. we started? 7 till 3, and my last shift was 6 till 2. And I used to basically, we were partying till 4 in the morning. Yeah. And I would basically go straight in the shower, get ready, head straight to work, come back at 3. There'd be people still in the gaff, absolutely like partying.
Still going.
Class, get a beer.
Straight back in it.
Straight back in.
Is that lifestyle? Is that far gone now? Or is
so far, mate. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love going to Ibiza. I love going to Amsterdam, like once a year maybe. Like for my stag last year, we went to Amsterdam. It was amazing. Like the main event thing that we went to, we got out at like 11 p.m. It was on till like 8 in the morning. And I happily have stayed for longer. Do you know what I mean? Like that side of me, like people say, oh, it's like long gone, never going to do that again. Like it still comes out every, don't know, once every half year or something like that. I can still do it, but that's like me for 4 days.
It's tamed though.
Aye.
Compared to what it was on the sounds of things.
Definitely.
So let's fast forward. So making the decision to get into personal training, where's that come from? Is that I'm assuming like in the fighting world, you said you competed then. When did you first compete?
2000 and what age was I? I was 20, I think.
Right.
20, 21, just after I'd lost all the weight and that.
Right, cool.
So it was about 21.
And you still do that up until?
So I done 2 fights. I did one fight, sorry. I did 1 mixed martial arts fight, and then I did like 4 or 5 jiu-jitsu tournaments. So they were a lot easier, right? Like, because you could just do them constantly. You had to train to a proper fight camp to do a fight. And I realised after I did that, it was a bit much doing a full fight camp. I'd rather just like, kind of like when you're in shape for High Rocks, you can just do High Rocks events all the time. It's quite like that with jiu-jitsu competitions. Like if you're fit enough, like you can just go on and do them. Do you know what I mean? Did you have a coach for your first fight? So my first fight, I was getting coached by a guy in Greenock, called Chris Carmichael. And then when I went to the jiu-jitsu comps, I was training at Grip House. So it was just like, you never really had a coach as such. Like you got coached to then go and like do whatever. Like you just did loads of like sparring and that in the gym and stuff like that. And that would tell you whether you were ready or not. Because if you'd spar against other guys who are white belt and you're tapping them and you're a white belt, then tapping them's like obviously you submit them and they hang me. That tells you, right, all right, you're probably going to do well at a comp. Do you know what I mean? And also if you're tapping guys above that grade, it tells you that you're definitely left ready. Do you know what I mean? So what was the first fight like? Was it? It was mad, mate. Like, what did I come into? That song by Blur, Woohoo. Well, I don't know, it's not even called Woohoo, it's called, is it Blur?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Song 2 it's called.
Song 2, right. I don't know.
You'll need to put it on at some point, right? But I come into that and the walk-in night, I was like, fuck man, this is actually happening. You know, to fight a guy. The fuck?
Did they not hit you then until you're behind the...
It was, you didn't even feel anything. See, like, it was MMA, like, rules weren't, like, no punches in the face at that point. So it was like knees to the stomach, kicks to the legs and all that kind of sort of stuff. It was good fun. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. I lost it, but it was all right.
Right. so you come away from that. How does that feel like getting a loss? Was it all right?
I felt
or were you not
like
too
I
bad?
definitely went in a wee bit too early
Aye.
in that fight because I feel like I just wasn't quite. You never ever feel ready for an event, I don't think. But I felt like I definitely was unprepared for that one.
Why were you doing it? Do you feel like you had something to prove to?
My coach was just like, "You should do a fight." And I
You're
was
just
like,
like, "Aye, right,
all right.
cool."
And then when I actually did it, so the weight I was 82.5 kilo, right? And that guy was 92. And my coach fucked up how much the weight was by 10 kilo. He's like that.
So proper like.
He's like, I'm like, mate, this guy's 10 kilo heavier than me. Fuck it, I'll still fight him anyway. I'm not going to be a shite bag. I'll still fight him.
Then after you realised 10 kilo heavier.
He's 10 kilo heavier. Fucking shite bag.
So like doing that, then kind of realising that that's maybe not a route that you're going to.
I definitely
continue to
like.
go down.
I enjoyed the sparring and that, like seeing sessions and stuff. Like I loved MMA sparring and like just it's basically you just get to fight with people, like for and like obviously technically fighting like controlled as well. But it's fun, like just like because especially with MMA, obviously you can kick, knee, elbow, take a guy down, tap him, do jiu-jitsu, wrestle him. Do you know what I mean? So like it's different for like boxing sparring where you can only punch and
You
obviously
get more avenues.
it's more fun, I think. Aye, definitely, and there's more ways to like win as well and
definitely.
lose.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye, the hope's not to lose all that.
I know.
So see after that, then when do you start lifting weights, and then is that where you find a wee bit of love and passion for? This would be quite a cool job to do.
Yeah, so I think like when I was doing jiu-jitsu, like there was a point where I had met a girl called Claire, right? Who like became one of my best mates.
Right.
So Claire basically she stayed like two things doing for me. But we met because her sister is one of my best mates' missuses, right? She was really overweight and she was like at me, oh, like you've lost tons of weight, like she's like, can you teach me to lose weight and all that, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, I'm not a PT, like go away, basically. And she ended up in my DMs asking me all the time, mate, like I'm not even kidding on.
Seed was planted.
It was that thing, mate, where I was like, I'm not going to do it. Like, no, I've not even got the qualifications. I can't just PT you. Like, I've got no clue what I'm doing, right? But anyway, long story short, I bought a kettlebell, set up box. Well, I had the boxing gloves, kettlebell, a mat, and I had a big bag in my gym, in my flat, me and Martin's flat. It's pure lad pad, right?
In the living room, right in centre.
And I was like, right, all right, cool, I'll help you. And then basically, again, long story short, again, I helped her lost over £100.
Right.
The feeling I felt from helping her, like when she turned around, she's like, I've lost £100, I feel amazing, blah blah. Like, I'm so much more confident. Like life is just so much better, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, this actually feels quite cool. Like this feels class. I want to feel this again. Like it's almost like when you get a wee dopamine hit. You're like, I want it again.
How did that compare to everything else that you've done at this point?
Class, mate. Like it felt better than mine.
Really?
Do you know what I mean? Like, I would say it felt better than my own progress. Like, because
You're probably never satisfied. That's maybe why as well.
I think so. I definitely. And it's like that feeling never goes away. Like I get it every week pretty much from my clients. Like, Harry, like you've helped me so much. My life is so much better. Like everybody notices how much happier I am. I went and got this new job and blah blah blah. Right? And you're like, class, right? I want to feel that again now. Get it off somebody else.
Yeah.
Like it's just like that feeling. That's what basically got me into personal training. So after that happened, that's when I went into part-time and work in RBS, and then I went to college and did my HND.
Was it as simple as that? You're like, I'm pursuing
I was
this?
like, yes, aye, 100%. I was like, what I do my HND, so I went and done that. I only did the first year yet, because I was like, I want to get into this like ASAP, because I was like obviously pure like full of shit, big headed. I can do it with my clients, so I sure I can do it with everybody. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really need 4 years of learning. So I did as naive as it is. So I went and done my HNC, went and done my level 3. And then I just got straight into it. Started PTing from my living room.
Right? And that with the bag and the kettlebell?
Yeah. So this tiny living room, right? And see to this day, mate, I'm like, I am so surprised these people trusted me as much. Because there's this guy asking you to come to his living room to get trained off him. Like,
what was the place like? Like, was it like 2-story? Like, where was it?
So we were up 3 floors. So
what's the appearance like in the outside, like paint the picture?
It's actually, it was quite nice. The funniest part of this whole story is the fact that there's a McDonald's right next to the house. The flat's nice, like we kept it good. We definitely got a flat that was way too big than what we needed, but it had a big massive living room. So we were able to fit all
Perfect for your PT space.
Aye. So we were able to fit all that stuff in it. I could literally make them run a wee 5 metres up and a wee 5 metres back and things like that. Like,
I was going to ask you, like, losing
£100,
£100, man, like that's That's obviously a lot of people who are maybe carrying a lot of body fat like that. It's a big goal, like a big massive milestone to
It's
hit.
like 6 stone in that.
So for you to like kind of have that with your client with minimal equipment, what was it? What was it? Just the like, let's get you moving,
mate. Like so,
or was it not as complex as that?
loads of boxing. Like I love taking people on pads and stuff. Loads of boxing, loads of kettlebell shit, like fucking high knees, like jumping jacks, all that shit. Do you know what I mean? There was no actual weight training. Do you know what I mean? And then just making sure that she was eating better. Like that was I actually made a diet plan, and I look back at it sometimes.
So funny,
and I'm
went
like,
back to the first
oh
one.
my god! See, in my diet plan it says under absolutely no circumstances drink wine, especially white wine. I don't know what my beef was with white wine. I don't know why. I don't know what my beef was with white wine.
Seen something online or that? Like, right, cool, aye.
White
That must be it.
Especially white wine. What the fuck, man? Like, why was I so raging about white wine?
So how is she doing now? Out of curiosity.
Sad story, mate. She committed suicide.
Oh, fuck,
so
fuck
that's
shit, man.
also it's a really sad story. But so it all kind of happened because she just wasn't happy in life. Like she wasn't married, didn't have kids, all that kind of sort of stuff, and her sister did. So we kind of came to the conclusion that that's why she was kind of unhappy. Do you know what I mean? It's really sad.
It must
though.
be a heartbreaking, man. Was that recent?
No, mate, that was about what 2000 and. I'm trying to remember after that. So it's been nearly 8 years now, I think. So,
Shit,
aye,
man.
been a while, man.
Didn't expect that.
No, I know you didn't. I just came out of neighbours. Don't worry.
Like you say, like you look back at your journey, especially how far you've
No,
come.
no,
Like a lot
definitely.
has to be said for that first client. You always remember
Aye,
your first
no,
client.
mate, 100%. Like I say all the time, like a lot of the reason I started doing it is because of her. She's like, you should do this. This should be your career. She'd always be like, you need to write a book and all that as well. I'm like, I'm probably not going to write a book, right? But
Yeah, never.
never know. But a lot of like the confidence I got to then become who I am now. Like not even just as a PT, but as a person. Like she helped me a lot with like just like if I was like having a bad time in a relationship or whatever, she's the first person I speak to. Like if like when I had opened the gym, I had a gym in Greenock as well. When I'd opened the gym, if I had a pure shit night, I'd go over to hers. Like I had mine wee cup in her house and that. It was like a wee like it's funny, it's like a black cup, right? But it had like a wee thing on it. It was like a ninja face thing, right? And the coaster was like a shuriken. But she was an amazing person. Genuinely, such an amazing person.
I honestly didn't expect that to.
I know. Don't worry about it, mate. Don't worry about it. Honestly,
is that still? Do you still reflect and get quite sad about that? Or
I
you
always
kinda made
think
peace?
like, do you know how there's always that person you're like, I wish I could tell them that. Like she's always like, I wish I could just see how proud of me that she is right now, because I know she would be. And she's always she's a person that always reminds me not to get to like burnout, because she used to always say to me all the time, you need to take a day off, and one of my, it's not a regret, but it kind of is. So when her funeral got announced, it was when I had booked a holiday to Tenerife,
right?
And then I found out that when I was away, she was obviously going to be getting buried in that. And I just knew she would be fucking fuming if I went to that instead of my holiday. So I was like, I need to just go away. Do you know what I mean? But we ran like a charity event and all that in the gym. Like we raised like something like $3,000 for our family, so they could just pay for the funeral and stuff like that, which was good. And everybody just got together and stuff like that. So aye, but definitely, I think about her like at least once a week.
It's crazy how like you don't expect to lose them day in your life until you're, whether it's parents or family.
I know,
but like
especially young
close
people,
friendships,
mate.
Close friendships.
And the thing is as well, mate, see, suicide is so big and like not big, but so like not popular. I nearly said that. Oh my god, it's so like it happens all the time in Greenock, mate. So common. It's like I don't know if that's just because it's a small town thing and you know everybody knows everybody. Maybe it's the same here, but like every couple of weeks, you get a message and you're like, did you hear about such and such? They fucking commit suicide.
Is this one of the only people in your life that's lost them? Took their life, or you be?
I had a mate when I was in high school, Danny. I wouldn't say he was like a best mate, but I had a few really, really good pals. So, and there was a group of like 7 or 8 is, and Danny had committed suicide as well. Don't know the ins and outs of it. There was no like
So young as well, man. Fuck.
There was no like letter or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? But it's definitely, mate. It's brutal, man. It's so hard to like comprehend that somebody thinks that's a better way. Do you know what I mean? Especially at that age. I was 17 years of age.
Aye, being that young as well.
Aye.
I wonder, it's obviously a very complex subject to get into, and the reasons why everybody's story is going to be different as to why they might feel that way. But it's like, fuck. That's why I love the field that we're in there, like for fitness, to try 100%. And like change the mindset in that. Because would you say it's mainly driven from like the sesh and drinking and the pressure and anxiety and all that for that, or do you think it's can go deeper?
Well, not for that, Danny. Definitely no. He was like, he's the first guy that was solid. Like, and I knew, like, he was 17 years of age. He was an absolute machine. He just, like, he was, like, into bodybuilding and all that. So he's an absolute wee machine, man. So I definitely don't think it was that, like, but I definitely think what you just said there, so, like, people that are just constantly on a session like that. I've had clients, mate, that are, like, riddled with anxiety, on antidepressants, all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, why are you still taking coke at the weekend?
Aye.
Why are you still, like, getting full of shit?
Yeah.
And why are you still hanging about with all those fucking guys that you DM hangs with? Because they're literally just pulling you into that, like, anxiety world. They'll not weigh you when you've got to come down. They're only weigh you when the night out's happening, and that's the only time they want to be with you because you're only useful to them then.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
It's just a pal for that part, isn't it?
That's it, man. Aye. Like,
that's mad. It's sad. It's sad that it's on the rise as well. Materialistic things, comparisons, like you said, with your friend there, like looking at everybody else's life and going, oh, I wish I had that, instead of appreciating or being able to appreciate some of the stuff in your own. So so that was like massive chapter. Was that did you start PTing? So you became a PT when she was alive? Yeah.
I became a PT. She stayed with me, so we were together. So about maybe 3.5 years, 4 years or so. Opened a gym in Greenock with a boy who I was doing the martial arts with. Right. So he opened the martial arts side, I opened the PT side. So basically the area of the gym was probably about 2 times the size of this room. So what's this across the way? Like 5 metres?
I think it's just shy of 4.
So about say 10 metres across, maybe like 4 or 5 metres up and down anyway. That was my wee gym space. So I had 2 squat racks, couple of things, and then the rest it was just a big massive matted area for, like, obviously jiu-jitsu, Thai boxing, all that kind of sort of stuff. And mate, we got such a good deal, man. See, when I think back to it now, I'm thinking what I paid for rent in there. Mate, I think what my rent now is probably like, back then, my rent now is probably like 1 month is more than a year's worth now. I'm not even kidding on, mate. It kills me a wee bit.
Kicking, yeah.
It does kill me a wee bit.
Right, so we brushed over like actual quitting your job and going full time in this. Let's talk about that, like, because there's a lot of people who listen to this that are aspiring PTs, or even some people that just want to make the leap into their side hustle, if you want to call it, something that they've got more passion for. Did you have any apprehension of that, or did the love for what you had done with those clients or the people that you were working with just carry you through that?
I think it needs to be a transition, like, especially because now, like, we're going to be speaking to people who are in their 30s and like maybe 25 above or whatever. Like, it's not like I'm a 21, 22-year-old boy, or it's not like the people listening are 21, 22-year-olds that can just go, fuck it, I'm just going to quit my job and I'm still staying with my mum and dad. I've not got any mortgage to pay, I've not got any rent to pay, I've not got bills to pay, right? So we can't be naive about that. But back then, that's what I did. Like, I was just like, fuck it, this is what I want to do. Like, and I said to Martin, look, mate, I'm probably not going to be able to pay like as much as I'm paying for maybe a month or two. And then I started PTing, I started getting busier and busier. And like, it's funny when I think about this, right? So I was
he cool with that?
I was aye.
That's a good bro.
Mate, he's also like part of the story, do you know what I mean? So I was paying I was getting paid £9 an hour, I think, £9.50 an hour in RBS. And then I was charging 15 quid an hour for PAT, right? So 180 quid for 12 sessions, right? And thinking back on it now, I'm like, oh my God, man. Some of them blocks took about 3 months to get through because people would be cancelling it. And I never had a cancellation policy. It wasn't like if you cancel, you don't get it back. It was like, all right, cool, no worries, come in next week. Do you know what I mean? So the transition for me was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. Don't get me wrong, it was stressful because I still wanted to be able to pay for things and stuff like that. And there was a slight transition period because it wasn't just a straight up like, that's me. So I spent like 2 months maybe before I actually quit completely. So I was part-time, I was building up the clientele, and then after the 2 month point I was like, look, I need to leave. Kind of funny part of our story is before that 2 month period, 3 months before it, I went off on the sick for like depression and stress. I wasn't depressed or stressed.
You're just milking the corporate sick pay.
Yeah, so 3 months I basically spent kind of slowly building up some clientele at that point and kind of deciding what I wanted to do and stuff. Pretty Pretty sure I went on a holiday as well.
The place,
I can't remember who it was. Where I went on holiday, but I definitely went on holiday at this point. And I remember people were like, "Oh, you can't get seen outside work and all that. Like don't be going to the gym, blah blah blah." And I was like, "But the gym makes you feel better, so it's fine." Well, surely they can't say anything about that, right?
Were you posting on social media at this point? Did you have any?
Mate, there wasn't really like so. See the way like we post every day.
I know,
But that wasn't even a thing back then. It was like people just knew who you were. Like
Aye.
I don't even know how. Like I think everybody just
word of mouth. Isn't it?
Aye. So I wasn't really posting on social media or anything like that. And then I remember that 2-month mark. I was like, right, guys, I am leaving RBS. I've decided to pursue like personal training. And I think I get like 300 likes or something like that. At that point on Facebook, that's like fucking you're a celebrity, mate.
Aye, you went viral.
Aye, pretty much.
That's it.
I put up my before and after picture, the one I was telling you about. And mate, I think I had 12 new clients off
I was
the
going
back
to
of
say
that.
you caught maybe the back half of the easiest marketing that we could have done
Mate.
as personal trainers.
See, back then, I wish I knew what I knew now.
I know.
Because I'd be a millionaire.
Milked it, aye.
I put an ad up, right? I spent, so it was called leg bata, right? So it was like Tabata, but just all legs, right?
Right.
So there was lunges, split squats, jumping squats and all that, right? And it was like a 4-minute video, right? I put, was it 10 or 20 quid I put on it, mate, and they got like 70,000 views or something. Mate, see 20 quid I'd spend these days, right?
It's not getting much.
I wouldn't even get a fucking lead for it.
Or a like. Never mind, or a comment. I always hear like, I think you listen to Alex Hormozzi's stuff and that, and he talks about, I think it's 2012, he just threw up a picture of somebody in a bikini or somebody in board shorts. It's like, do you want to look like this? Then sign up here and they'd get 100 leads.
Mate, it's an absolute joke, man.
But it just shows you, it'll be interesting to see where it goes, because I think what you've done with your business now, certainly where gyms or community-driven personal training is
100%.
definitely going, which will come into a sec. So getting your first, like going for that, then you're PTing for the living room, that goes pretty well. How does the conversation have to go, like, I'm going to open my gym?
So me and Ian just decided, like, Ian was like, right, I want to open my own place down here.
Were you still going to martial arts at this time? Is that?
Yeah.
Right, cool.
So it was kind of a wee bit, not as
Dipping
much.
in and out.
It was kind of more when we opened the gym, that's when I kind of stopped, because I didn't have 4 hours a day to train, basically. Ian's actually just opened his own place in Greenock as well. It looks fucking stunning. Like, it looks so good.
Brilliant.
He's moved out of the place that we were in. I can't believe it took him so long, but his new place looks stunning. What did you ask me again?
Just like where the decision of actually getting your own place. So you,
Aye, so
you
we
never
kinda- we
did you
were-
work in a gym at all?
No.
No? Was it never something?
I did that when I come up here, just because I feel like I missed the whole commercial gym thing. But the two of us were like, we want our own place, we want our own space. He's like, you're PTing for your flat, and I want to coach jiu-jitsu. So let's just get a place together. We spoke to one of our pals, Dave, who's like, he was so good with like so many things, helping us like build things and all that. Just one of these guys, you can go, I'm looking to get X, Y, and Z done, and they could just build it just off his head with it. Like, you know what I mean? One of them kind of guys. So he like knew everybody in Greenock, so he got us a unit, and then we kind of just started building. Everyone moved in like pretty fast, mate. Aye.
Good. And then did that do better for your business?
Definitely, just because like I think there was definitely a bit of people were a bit worried of just. I mean, you would be like, come to my flat, I'll train you. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
But and imagine somebody's husband. Like, what do you mean you're going to some guy's flat to get trained?
Aye, and don't get me wrong, like, get away with it in your early 20s,
Aye.
being there 30 and saying, here, come to my flat and get trained.
I know.
It's not got
Definitely if you've got a
longevity.
garage or something like that, do you know what I mean? With a good like rig or whatever in it. But I still think back to it and I'm like, how the fuck did I get away with that?
Yeah, I don't think the standards these days, you wouldn't
No,
be
I don't think
able
so.
to do that. Like,
I
that's
don't
what I
think
mean.
so.
It's like growing up in the time that we did, although it's only like 5-10 years apart, it's still way different.
I know.
Like how
Like,
people
it's,
go up
mate,
now.
see, in a way, I'm kind of glad I have grew up between the kind of ages of like when fitness was that way and when it is this way, because it makes me so much more like, it makes me push harder. Do you know what I mean? Like, because like you need to work harder for a client. You need to work 10 times harder to get a new client than you used to. Probably more than 10 times actually.
Aye. And even kind of keeping them in house and that sort of stuff. Like you, the model that you've got just now is brilliant for that, because it almost is like self-sufficient. You
Aye,
don't need-
definitely.
You still need to graft hard, but like,
Aye, of course.
when you get a group of people,
When you get a
there-
client, the retention's so much higher if you've got a decent community. Like that's the thing that I've noticed between like online one-to-one. Like with one-to-one, there's no community. With online, there is a community, but not as much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Did you just do one-to-one then in this
I
facility?
did. So I did classes. I did two classes a week, and it was kind of like 2-to-1 and 1-to-1. And then it's funny because I actually started to kind of do a small group PT just before COVID happened, but I never knew what it was. I was like, let's do small group PT. People were like, what's small group PT? And I was like, it's just like PT, but there's Marys.
Are you thinking from a business perspective, it's like, well, I could get a better price point per hour? Is that where that was coming from, really? Yeah,
because at that point, I was charging £180. No, sorry, I went to 150 for 8 sessions. Right. So I was still as like 20 quid or something, I don't know. And I was like, right, how can I make 40 quid an hour? Because everybody in Glasgow's making that. And I want to make that, but I can't make that money off each person down here because nobody will pay it. Not in Greenock, not a chance. So I'm like, how can I make £40 an hour? Surely if I get 4 people in for a session and they only pay a tenner each a session, it works out better for them. So then I had one group of 4, and then I ended up getting a second group, but then COVID happened.
Right.
And then I kind of never went back to it after that. Ended up closing the gym, going fully online.
Right.
And then never went back on the gym floor until.
So you're still in Chris Bradley's mentorship?
Yeah.
So have you found him at this point? Or no, Chris, he doesn't start.
I met Chris through Hannah. So Hannah's good pals with Cheryl.
Right.
So I never actually started working with Chris until April last year.
Right, okay.
But I was pure humming and hawing. Like I'd messaged him so many times, mate. Like genuinely.
Pick your brain.
About 8 times I messaged him and I was like, I don't know, it's a bit expensive, mate.
What more free advice can you give me before I jump on?
And then I would go with other mentors just because they were cheaper. But I wouldn't get a result I wanted.
So have you found anyone at this point, mentorship wise, to say like...
My first mentorship was Jay Alderton. Because I wanted to learn how to run an online programme. What he taught me really well...
Pre-COVID or post?
During COVID. Right, during COVID. What he taught me really well was how to run a group online programme, like how to do the Facebook groups, how to onboard them, all that sort of stuff. That he taught me really, really well. I don't think I really took much more for it other than that. And I think we were paying like £1,000 a month or something.
He pivoted quick, didn't he? Like COVID hits and he's like, right, cool, you want to have online business? Like, I actually respect people who are able to pivot that quick as well. Were you nervous at all through this shift? Because I see everybody...
The COVID shift?
Aye, so...
Mate, do you know what? It took so many distractions away from me. Like, so see just things that distract you on a daily basis. Like, so I was able just to focus a lot better. In some ways, like COVID, I would say kind of made me a wee bit. One thing I loved about it is the fact that we ran like the Zoom classes. I built up an email list of 500 people doing the classes. So basically I would go into Zoom. There'd be like maybe 20, 25, do it live. And then I'd just send the video out to the email list. And they all paid like 15 quid a month, 20 quid a month. Do you know what I mean? And just seeing the numbers of people that were signed up, I was like, this is actually quite class. I started to get, I didn't do any of that training, right? I was just bodybuilding at that point. So I never done any of that training. And then eventually I ended up using Hannah as my wee kind of demonstrator person. So I would just, it would be like me coaching Hannah. But I wouldn't need that. I just went, right, Hannah, 5 minute reps.
That's good. So see that pivot there? Did that open your eyes up to what the potential was to make money-wise, or did you see personal training to you? Was that ever like a business model or a business that you knew you could run and make?
I feel like my money mindset has definitely changed since COVID.
Right.
My money mindset was always kind of make any more than £5,000 a month.
Right.
Like, and I think that's also not because I also come from a family who only minted. Like, well, my mum and dad were on the brew my whole life, so they never made any money. My big brother, he wasn't in a pure high earning job or anything like that. So I feel like because my family didn't come from money, nobody in my family is got decent money, like rich, do you know what I mean? So I feel like my money mindset was can I make any more on that?
It's like a ceiling, isn't it? It's so weird.
And then I remember I did one of my highest month I've ever done was when I was online coaching. So still to this day, it's the highest month I've ever done. And
no overheads, no nothing like all
no
that
overheads,
sort of
no
stuff,
nothing, mate.
It's
Oh my
crazy,
god, man. But that being said, online did not fulfill me at all.
No.
Like I didn't enjoy just sitting in. Like, I've got an office built in my house, right? And I just didn't enjoy sitting in there and doing check-ins, Loom calls, like the thingy calls, like the weekly calls and all that. Like, I just don't have a passion for it, mate. I've got a passion for getting on a gym floor and helping people and seeing my community growing and growing, giving them events and stuff like that, seeing them high-fiving each other, seeing them showing each other's progress pictures, seeing them at High Rocks. Do you know what I mean? All that stuff. That's what I've got passion for. I've not got passion for sitting in front of a laptop all day.
I think people misunderstand the graft and just what online coaching looks like.
Online is so hard, mate.
I tried it when I got here because I was like, right, I need an online partner. In fact, I went my honeymoon. That was the first wake-up call for me.
Aye.
And I was on my honeymoon and I had 50 sessions week to week. And then I went to 0 sessions. I was like, shit, I'm not making money. I was like, maybe I need to do like an online model. Started doing an online model, just stressing myself. I was like, this isn't worth the hassle.
I don't know if you remember that point where it was like, there was just such a rush to get off the gym floor. Remember? And everybody was like, that's me, guys. I'm finally off the gym floor. I'm no longer a one-to-one PT anymore. I'm fully online. Everybody wanted to do that post. I think everybody wanted to get online just to do that post to say, I'm no longer on the gym floor anymore. Almost like online's like, you're better because you're online and you're not on the gym floor kind of thing.
Now it's shifting back the other way, which is cool. So you mentioned bodybuilding. Is this when you start lifting for aesthetics? What
so I started lifting for bodybuilding 2017. This was so I remember walking into the Extreme Gym. I messaged Kirk O'Brien. I don't know if you know Kirk.
Yeah, he's another one.
I messaged Kirk O'Brien. I was like, Kirk, look. Funny thing is, I actually messaged him. I was like, I just want to grow a big set of legs. That was it, right? Still didn't get them, right? But I tried. I was like, Kirk, look. The funny thing is, I end up competing in men's physique and they don't even show their legs. But Kirk, look, I want to like grow a big set of legs. Can you help me? And he's like, if you're green up, mate. And I was like, aye, but I'll drive up. I'll not drive up. I wasn't driving at that point. I'll get a train up and come into the gym. I was like, aye, that's fine. Blah, blah, blah. Here's my prices, whatever. Remember walking into Extreme Gym for the first time. Aye, Bridgeton. Mate, it was... I just looked a bit and I was like,
what is this?
What are the fuck are these monsters? What? Like, how do you...
The first time seeing people in person, really? Like,
yeah, mate. It's the first time I seen proper big guys. And I was like, there was this... there was a guy figuring out. I used to train with called Danny, who was quite big. But then I looked at these other guys and I was like, what the fuck? There's a guy called Rudy, who's massive. Who else was there? A couple of guys. But Rudy was just a pure... he was the biggest guy in the gym at that point. I remember as well with Rudy, there was a time where he went like that to me, all right, big man. I was like, the biggest guy in the gym just called me big man. Yes! But I looked a bit and I was just looking at all these guys and I was like, wow, man, like, this is mental that people can actually look like us. And then, like, I never ever wanted to, like, look like them, but I was like, I take my hat off to the guys who are that big, do you know what I mean? And then obviously started training with Kirk. And there was no, like, I was never ever going to compete. We did a lean bulk and then got into decent shape. And Kirk was like, you should jump in on the Scottish like rookie UK BFF show, men's physique. And I was like, fuck it, why not? And then I did it. Natty, by the way. And then I was talking to some of the boys backstage. I placed third. Talking to some of the boys backstage. And I was like, they're like, what are you taking in that, mate? Usual conversation backstage. And I'm like, nothing, what you was taking?
It's crazy. And then you go, you're taking how much? For what? You're like,
and I was only, I think, so I started training on the February and I competed in the June or the July. So I wasn't training that. Again, I just jumped straight in. I'm a pure fuck it, like, very reactive and like I'll just go boom.
Easily influenced because that was the fight scene as well. You should do a fight. Cool.
Fuck it.
Sign me up.
Do you know what I mean? It's always a thing. And then I was talking to the boys backstage and they were like, oh, I'm taking clean, I'm taking this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, one of the boys actually got coached off Kirk. And I was like, Kirk, what is all this stuff? Enlighten me.
I can't find these supplements on the supplement shop.
I was on Amazon. Well, there's testosterone stuff. They just give me natural testosterone boosters.
So does this open up your eyes to like that world?
The kind of analogy I always give, like, see with bodybuilding, it's like, don't turn up to a gunfight with a knife.
Right.
Like, so I was like, right, if I'm going to be competing again, then I'm happily enough to like fucking take it. So I'm like on the same level as everybody. Do you know what I mean? And obviously then I was like, from that year to the next year, like the progress that I had made
different
was
size,
like, your progress was like ridiculous. Like you literally, you don't even need a day off training. Like, your recovery's so good. Like, it's wild. But it was always like, I just don't want to have an people to have an unfair advantage. So I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it.
So you came in third though. Like, were you disheartened because you heard what they were telling you, like, I wanted first? Or because you didn't have any expectations, I take it? Or I say you don't have expectations. Everybody says this, and I remember from my show, it's like as long as I can just go out there and do well, but deep down you're training, you're like, I want to fucking win.
You want to beat everybody.
Aye.
Like, see all these people, they go, oh, the only person you need to beat is yourself. Why are you lying, mate? Like, you want to beat everybody.
There's that instinctual part that's within us all.
Like, would we really do that many High Rocks events or that many bodybuilding shows if there wasn't people to beat?
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
Like,
now after it, so you're right. Like, here, you gave it your best. That is generally all that matters.
The main thing that matters is like that. It's not even like not so much the event itself, but see the run up to the event. Like, did you put 100% into that part? Because then
On the day is the day, isn't it?
what's going to happen is kind of already happened,
Yeah.
essentially. Well, with bodybuilding, I guess,
Aye.
but not as much so with like other sports that you actually need to perform. But like, as long as you've gave your best in the run up to that and the run up to the event, you've put in 100% is what you could put in every single day. Then you can turn around and go, do you know what? Fuck it, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done any better.
Yeah.
With what time I had and what thing I had. Do you know what I mean?
So making the decision then, doing another show, what was that just like? Was it?
What did we do? We did.
No, like why? Like so you come off that show, did you have a buzz and all that, or was it more like overshadowed with there's
Third
so
place.
much more to this game?
Third place needs to be second, and then second needs to be first. Again, metrics. Like
That was it.
It's always just a metric in it. Like, doesn't matter who is put next to me, as long as I see second or first, I know I've progressed. Even though that I could be in so much better shape than I was when I got the third place. If I never got second, I've not improved. That was my mindset. Even though that's not true.
That's the downside of bodybuilding, isn't it? It's all subjective to. There's no
very
objective
subjective.
metric. It's like who's there, like how you size up to these other guys. Like it's such a.
I also
weird one.
think as well, like, so it takes me back to like, see when I won in 2022, was it 22 or 23? 22. So like, I competed in the Aberdeen show and placed last, and then I competed again the week after and won against guys who beat me the week before.
All right.
Right. And then I always kind of makes me go like, right, what one was right? Like, but in my head, I remember speaking to Andy after, and I was like, I was not fucking last on that stage. I was like, not a chance.
Did you peak wrong, or was it like did you feel like you nailed it at the same time?
So
both
I
times?
always say to Andy, like when I was speaking to him, so obviously you go to Aberdeen, like 3 or 4 of the guys who placed at the top are like guys who train at the gym that's the main sponsor.
Aberdonians.
Oh yeah, sort of shit, right? As much as they'll say, no, it's not, blah, blah, blah. But I say that to Andy, I remember saying it to him, I was like, look, that's what I think happened. I'm competing against some of these guys next week and I'm going to prove them wrong. After that show in Aberdeen, I was fucking so raging, mate. I went back to the hotel room, I was fuming. I said to Hannah, like, proper rage, mate. Went back, no, not back to the hotel room, back to the car, sorry, before driving home. I said to Andy, I'm dropping my calories down to 1,200 this week. I'm also going to do 90 minutes on the Stairmaster every single day, because it was basically Sunday to Saturday I had to try and peak again, basically. And then, mate, it was the hardest week of my life. Like, just see getting like 3, so trained in the morning, Stairmaster 30 minutes, went and lifted weights, done another 30 minutes, and then 8 o'clock at night I did another 30 minutes. Don't get me wrong, the improvements between those 6 days were absolutely fucking ridiculous, right?
Was it crazy? Like what you
madness,
dropped?
mate, absolute
In terms
madness.
of weight.
Wait, I didn't even weigh myself. I just looked at how I looked.
Just how your physique tightened up.
I just went with how I looked, and then I carved a wee bit more before doing that show. And then see when I was backstage and I started pumping up, I was like, holy shit, man, I'm just blowing up right now. Like,
Yeah,
I
'cause
look
you've been flat all
massive.
week.
And I look massive and I look lean. And before I even walked onto stage, I looked down at the boys that I was competing against again, and I was like, I'm winning this today. Like, I know I'm winning it. And it was like, the Scottish Motherwell show was obviously all my mates, all my family. I think there was like 50 people there to watch me. And then, like, when you just hear your name getting shouted out first place, like, it was more like, this is when I realised I didn't want to do bodybuilding anymore, which is funny. Like, because it was a pure vendetta thing, like a pure vengeance thing, right? But it was also like, see, having all the support and all that was the good parts. The actual, like,
Aye, the bit to take away, wasn't it? The actual.
it wasn't that I
your
won a
step
show
on
and I
stage,
looked
aye.
class.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And I realised, like, I've done all this for this. Like, it's not even worth it. Like, I thought it was going to feel better. I thought it was going to be like, right, I'm going to move on and do the British now. But it was like,
Don't
really,
want it, aye.
I'm not bothered. Like, just the support was the thing that was more exciting for me.
Yeah.
And more beneficial for me than anything else. You know what I mean?
I think, which is, we'll come on to like the move between doing that sort of things, then going to like High Rocks. But back in 2017, I know High Rocks became a thing, and there was Spartan races and all this sort of stuff, but not to the same extent. Back when, like 2012 to 2020, for example, if you went to the gym and you got in good shape, it was like, oh, you should do a show. Now
Aye.
it's like, yeah, you should do that run. You should do that
Aye.
10K. You
You
should
doing
do
High
that
Rocks, aye?
High Rocks. Aye. Like, it's shifted a little bit, but
Aye.
the part of bodybuilding was the there was a prep, there was a bunch of yous maybe doing a prep, you're competing against each other, you knew of boys that were doing it, and it became like a mini community side of things.
Definitely.
So doing that show, you said you started PTing in a gym. What did you...
I started, so when I came back onto the gym floor.
Yeah.
So
was that after COVID then?
So it was after COVID. I spent a while doing online. And then 2020, October 2022 was it? Or October 23. Opened the gym 24. So October 2022. I wanted the commercial gym experience thing, right? So I had this idea in my head, right, that I'm going to be a business mentor for other coaches who...
Oh, really? Where'd that come from?
I'll explain in a second. Right? So I used to speak to a lot of one-to-one coaches and used to always be like, oh, pure struggle to get clients, people in pure gyms and stuff like that. So I had this idea, right, but it never ended up happening. So I had this idea to go on a gym floor, a commercial gym floor, get fully booked, and then start helping other PTs do the same, right? Went on the gym floor in October, was fully booked by November, end of November. Like, nobody knew me in this gym. I was in Silverburn. Bearing in mind I'm from Greenock, not many people know me yet.
What gym did you go to?
Silverburn, Pure Gym.
Pure.
Was on the gym floor, chatting to people all the time. Obviously, usual, typical PT, sitting in the fucking...
the barrier is
complaining
so low.
like, oh, I'm still on 12 hours rent, and I'm like, because you fucking just sit here and do fuck all day, right? So... you don't even go on your Instagram and make a post when you're doing this. Like, you're literally just doom scrolling all day, man.
That's
just
crazy.
Chatting to some other PT who's doing the exact same. Do you know what I mean? When you could be on that gym floor, literally teaching someone how to do a lat raise, teaching someone how to do a hip thrust or a fucking pull down, and they're going to come back to you and be like, right, I want a PT. Who am I going to pick? A guy to help me how to do a lat pull down, obviously, right? So I had this idea that I was going to go on the gym floor, get fully booked, and then I was going to help other PTs do the same. Got on the gym floor, got fully booked, and fell straight back in love with being on the gym floor again. And then so I was on 12 hours to start halfway. I moved down to 8 hours by December or something like that. There was like 4 other PTs in the gym that were still on 12 hours at this point, and I've already fucking got ahead of them already. Then I was like, get made to take a functional fitness class in there. Scales and shit like that, right? Didn't even know how to use them, right? But I feel just...
I'd love to see that.
Tunes right, mate, big swings, man. Tunes up full blast, just fucking like loving it, right? Just screaming and bawling. Realised, fuck, I've missed group coaching so much. And then I had just kind of stayed there for a while. So I moved from Silverburn Pure Gym to Shawlands Shawlands Future Fitness in April. And then I was always, because I had loads of clients to bring over now. And then obviously the rent was less because it's like £800 a month or something like that in the Pure Gym now.
Is that what it is? 800?
In between that time, so me and Shona started talking again. This is where High Rock started. So in between that time, me and Shona kind of caught back up again, and she's like...
So did you know her for...
So she used to see one of my mates.
Right,
That's
okay.
how I know who she is.
Right.
And we were just kind of catching up again, and she's like, oh, do you not fancy doing a High Rocks or whatever? So I don't even know what it is. Like, what is it? And she's like, go run a kilometre, right? She's like, what's your time? And I was like, I think it was like 6.5 minutes, 7 minutes or something like that. She's like, oh, that's brilliant. Whereas it clearly wasn't, right? She's like, right, I'm going to do it. She's like, I'm going to do this High Rocks in Barcelona, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Hannah, started talking to Shona again. I was like, alright if I train with her. Obviously, you know, that's going to go right.
Was that an awkward conversation?
Not really, mate, because Hannah's pure chill. Like, I know like other like lassies and other...
Because
like,
from the outside looking in, you can see it, and then if you're doing doubles with whoever it is that you end up doing, it's like, that's not his missus. Who's that? Like, what's going on here?
It's funny, man. So, and then I remember there was a day the two of us went into Pure Gym, me and Shona, and we're like, right, we're going to get through all the High Rocks movements, right? And then, mate, I wish somebody recorded that session, man. Oh, really? I was an absolute joke, mate. Like, see, like, try to do burpees and all that. I was like, actual dying. I didn't do any of this stuff. I just came off the back of like winning my show. And then after that, it was just like, that was me. I'm just this big guy. Like, I'm not a bodybuilder, but I'm not.
I still have your size and all this at this point.
I started 108 kilo.
Right, guys, this is how we do it. A burpee.
It was funny, man. And then obviously...
So just threw yourself into it for the sake of...
Again, mate, fuck it.
Yeah.
She's like, do you want to do it? I was like, fuck it. See what happens.
How did you feel? So, did you get much training in to do one in Barcelona? Or was it a wee bit of training, or was it
we trained February till... So Barcelona was March, end of March, I think. So we trained like...
Good 8 weeks.
5 weeks. She gave us 5 weeks. We did all right, mate. We got a 1:11.
That is good,
I was quite chuffed with that, to be honest. I ran in Reacts, Nike Reacts. Didn't have running trainers. That was a good running trainer, Harry. No clue.
Just get stuck into it.
Aye.
So how did you find that experience compared to the bodybuilding?
Mate, it was just fun, man. There was no stress behind it. Like, see, with bodybuilding, it's like everybody's looking at you. Like, they're literally all looking at you. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, like,
Waiting for the pose, waiting for the turns, aye.
Whereas with High Rocks, you're in Barcelona, nobody really knows you. You're now the new guy again after being the guy who won like everything. Do you know what I mean? So it was nice, it was refreshing, and it was like the training's just like enjoyable and fun. Do you know what I mean? And you're doing all this different stuff, and like I feel as well like with the workouts and stuff, you can be so creative with them. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like with fucking, you know what it's like bodybuilding. It's like you've got like whatever split you do, push pull legs or bro split or whatever, right? But your kind of main movements, it's always going to be like 3 sets of 8 to 10, 3 sets of 12, or do you know what I mean? It's always going to be roughly the same training all the time. When I was bodybuilding, my training plan was the same for 3 years. Like 3 full years, I never changed that.
Did it change when you moved from Kirk to Andy or anything like that? Or like
a
wee bit?
Actually, when I went to Andy, Andy's just very much Andy's very, what's the word? Not monotonous, but he'll just be like, right, just stick to the same stuff all the time.
Meticulous,
that's the word. He's like, just like stick to the same stuff all the time, same food all the time. You don't really need to change anything. As long as progressive overload's happening, you'll be fine. Add in a wee drop set here and there. And then you would add in a drop set, you're like, fucking hell, man, this feels like a brand new whole workout, man. The hell's going on here? But yeah, and then obviously when obviously there is certain things that you need to keep the same with High Rocks training. Like you're running, like there's got to be metrics for you to progress.
Had you ever ran before?
No. I ran a bit when I was doing martial arts. Like, I mean, I didn't really know how much I ran because I never really tracked anything. I just went out and ran. Fuck, I'm going to run. When you coming back, don't know.
So funny because that's like the advice that you don't get folk. You're like, no, like run slow for time or run for this distance. And you're like, what do you mean you're going to run? It's like, you went through it yourself.
It's mad, mate, when you actually think about
it. So that one, is that what sort of started to change the... Did you have an idea you wanted to do group stup when you started doing these? Would you call them seminars or whatever?
So basically, there's kind of 2 pivotal moments, right? When it came to opening the gym itself, but the group coaching thing happened when me and Shona had done our High Rocks, right? And I just said to her, and I was in Future Fitness at this point. Spoke to Jason, who owns Future Fitness, and I was like, "Can I rent that back room? Like, if I want to rent it for a group session or whatever?" He's like, "Aye." I says, so I messaged Shona. I was like, "Do you want to start a group training High Rocks type thing?" And then we created hybrid, and we're just like, let's just call it hybrid group training or hybrid group coaching or something like that. So we just called it that, just pure simple. Like it's High Rocks, but it's not High Rocks, so it gets you the both people, the people that do High Rocks but don't do High Rocks. Started running that class in the back room, and it was kind of annoying because there wasn't enough room. We had like 10, 15 people, and it was like, I kind of want my own space a wee bit. I want sleds. I want...
what did you have in the room? Was it just like an empty circuit room?
It was like you had one ski, one row, they did big elbows at that point. They had kettlebells and barbells and like that.
And what was the room costing at this point? Like,
I think he charged me like 20 quid an hour or something, 25 quid an hour or something. Aye. I probably shouldn't say that because he charges 50 an hour for that. So we started running this thing, and it was getting busier and busier, and I was like, we're going to need a bigger place at some point. We couldn't do any running, couldn't do like all the stuff that you need to do for High Rocks. Me and Shona were like, do you want to do a High Rocks sim in a seminar? And then I spoke to Chris that owns Functional in EK. He's like, can I rent your space for like a day or whatever? And we rented it, done like a seminar, just going over all the kind of High Rocks moves and stuff. And then we did a simulation with them as well.
How many people showed up to this?
There's about 30 odd.
Where did they come from? Like, is that just people that knew you were doing
just through social
one?
media, because they had seen that me and Shona started doing like High Rocks and stuff. It was before Shona like blew up as well. So it was like, it were just like DMing people like, do you fancy it? Blah, blah, blah. Anybody who replied back, everybody who did our classes and stuff, I think every one of them did it.
Good.
Because we gave the option to do a half sim and a full sim to kind of, because there's some people are kind of a wee bit scared and skeptical to do a full sim because they think they can't do it, even though like,
you get more than you think.
Everybody usually can do one. So yeah, and I remember I was just looking about and I was like, I said to Shona, I was like, this must have been like September 2023, because I opened the gym 2024. I don't know. I just remember saying to her, I was like, I'm going to open a gym next year. And I says, 100%, give me until January.
Was that ever on the cards? Obviously, you had a bit of gym space, but was there ever a vision to go bigger, or did you get swept under with the whole like build your online business and that'll give you this freedom?
I think like I always enjoyed leading. I always enjoy leading. Like, and I don't like not being in control and not leading. I think that's probably my biggest reason for having a gym. I want to build a community and a team and lead them. Do you know what I mean? Like, to whatever the goal is. I don't really. It's not that I don't like sharing the space with other people. It's merits. I just want it to be the way I want it to look, the way I want it to be built. I'm a bit of a control freak, I think, when it comes to stuff like that. And also, I like it, so it's yours kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? You've got the freedom to do what you want with it. You've not got somebody going, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Like, who owns the place, and they've kind of get the.
Did you ever have to, like, see up in the lead to this point? Did it ever any times where you butt heads with other PTs or general managers or that sort of stuff, or was it pretty chill for you?
I feel like I'm a pretty chill guy. Like, I don't really, even if there was like a potential, like,
yeah, you squash and move on.
I wouldn't argue with anybody. I was just be like, I'm professional. Like, I'm not going to start arguing with people over shit. Do you know what I mean? I don't think so anyway. I think there's just a couple of wee things, like just in certain gyms and stuff like that. Every gym's got it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I don't like that. I don't like this. And I would just be like, look, I just want my gym to be exactly how I want it to be, based off of how I want to coach people. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then I can build it out for the way I want it to be. Do you know what I mean?
So you've said, like, give me till January. You see, what was the, like, you and Shona like at that point? She like, you're mental, or was it like, cool, right, we'll see what happens then?
I think it was kind of like, I think like a lot of people, when I kind of say that to them, they're just like, all right, like, never really thought too much about it. I'm the type of person that if I say I'm going to do something, I'll go and do it, like, every single time. Like, I'm not one of these guys who, like, you know what it's like, see the guys that go, I'm going to do a sub 60 for my first high rocks, like pure, I'm kind of guys, I'm not one of these guys. When I say something, I always say it like with intent, like to something that I know it's achievable and I know it's not. Do you know what I mean? But I just remember like having everybody in the gym and all that. I was like, I want to be able to do this in my own space. And when we were out doing High Rocks Barcelona the second time in October, that's when I get the phone call for the landlord, like, being like, right, you can come in and view the place Monday when you're back.
So were you looking instantly? Just like, yeah.
I was like looking like everywhere.
So it's a big kind of jump to actually open up your own space with nobody else to float rent and all this sort of stuff. Did you have savings and all that? Did you have anything built up, or like what was the?
I took out a bounce back loan,
right?
And I had saved up. See, when I was online, I saved up quite a lot of money,
right?
Because I never had any money. I didn't have to spend any money on rent.
Aye.
So it was always just sitting there, and I was like, at some point, I always say that at some point I'm probably going to open a gym again. I don't know when, but there will be a point where I'm like, right, it's time. So the money was always just kind of sitting there.
Good. So you get a phone call, and then is this of the first? Was it first one? You seen it? Cool.
So
I'm taking it.
Originally, G43 gym in City Centre, they said that they were selling their gym for like 50 grand, and I was like, right, cool, I'm going to come in and see if I like it. I just remember how long it took me to get a parking space. I walked in, and I kind of, me and Shona actually trained in this place before. I looked about, and I was like, it's like, do you know when you buy your first house, or you go into your first like, flat or whatever, and you're imagining, right, couch is going to be over there, that's going to be there. That bit just wasn't happening for me. No, it just wasn't happening. And the guy I was speaking to, like, the thing I got for him, the impression I got for him was that, so his daughter was selling a gym, right? The impression I got for the guy who was her dad was that he was just wanting his money back that he had spent on gym. Like, I don't know if that is the case or not, but that's how I felt when I was talking to him. I didn't feel like totally sold on anything that he was saying or anything like that.
Said with conviction. It's like, it's
I just feel like
location.
see if he prepared that conversation like properly, I would have maybe been a wee bit more likely to do it, but it never happened. I was like, fuck it, I'm away. Like, there's no point in me staying here any longer. And then the guy who ended up buying that place is in the place I'm in now, right? Danny runs Two Birds gym. So I seen that he was moving, and I messaged him straight away. I was like, Danny, what are you doing with that space? And he's like, oh, the landlady's probably going to be looking for somewhere new. So I phoned her right away. I was like, look, I'm looking to potentially like take over us. She's like, oh, we're going to split it into two. And I was like, all right, no worries. I was like, and then
Please
I was like, I'll take over it. I says, what that means is that you don't need to worry about getting rid of the like mirrors. You don't need to get worried about getting rid of like mats and all that. Like, I'll literally just walk straight into it if I come in and I like it, basically. And so we were that I get that phone call about 2 hours before I was due to compete, basically. And then I said, I'm going to see this place on Monday. I was like, fucking hell, this is a big decision. And then I remember saying to my mate John Middleton, I was like, what do you think about this? He's like, mate, it's a fucking opportunity, man. He's like, just go for it. And I was like, you know what I'm like, fuck it.
That's all I needed to hear. That's it.
One person
if
one person likes this post,
I'll do it.
And then I just went in, met the landlady. She was so sound. Hannah came with me because she's better at asking questions than me. You know what it's like, man, being a guy.
How long you and Hannah been together?
4 year, 5 year,
Better
4
get
or
that one
5,
right.
4 or 5. I know. Married for nearly a year.
Yeah.
But 4 or 5 years. So we went in together. She did most of the questions, to be honest. Went into the space and I was like walking up and walking back. And I was like, this place is massive, man. It's like, this is way too much of what I need. Like, so I visualised all the stuff that I wanted to do in it, but I was worried because the rent right away, it was a lot of rent. Like, it was like what I was paying at that point, maybe 4.5 times what I was paying rent. The actual space itself was very big, so I was like, how am I going to fill all this?
Equipment wise, did you have like a budget? Like, what did you need to open that gym?
Money wise?
What did you need like for yourself to open?
So we spent probably about 50 odd, 60 odd grand.
Aye.
But
Could you have done it cheaper, or was that just because the savings in that and what you'd taken,
I could have definitely done it cheaper if I actually took my time, like went on in the marketplaces,
just
and
wanted
like,
to get
rollers and
going.
skills and all that sort of stuff. Definitely, I could have probably done it for about 40 odd. Definitely. And then I was a wee bit skeptical. It's like, how am I going to fill this place? Have I got enough money to fill it? Like, I've got to keep at least 10-15 grand sitting aside to make sure nothing bad happens. Because bearing in mind, I had zero. There was no small group PT business at this point for me. The small group PT business happened when I walked into that place.
Was it just one-to-one clients?
1-to-1 and 2-to-1 and online I was at that point.
So how's that conversation go with clients? I think this is really, it's good to dive into because it's probably an aspiration of, I would say, every single PT. You want to have your own space. Now you can have a good model utilising somebody else's gym, but I think it is something that everybody wants to shift towards.
It was a tough one, mate, because I had 12 one-to-one clients, so 24 hours a week PT I was doing on the gym floor. Maybe some of them were one session, so maybe 20 hours a week.
Whatever it is, yeah.
So probably taking in about 3.5 grand a month from one-to-one, roughly, maybe towards 4. And I remember 90% of them said, aye, I'll definitely come over, right? 3 of them came.
Aye.
Mate, see when I got my first rent bill and I lost all that money in 1 month, man, I was the most stressed. See the first year? Oh my God, mate. I always say to Chris, the jump from personal trainer to gym owner is so unforgiving. Like, see, it's just some of this stuff that you just don't know that's going to happen and you don't expect. And being a PT for so long, I was 10, 11, 12 years or something like that, I've dealt with every single problem I think that a PT could deal with. When you become a gym owner, it's this new selection of problems that you've never actually had to deal with before. It's not so much the problem itself, it's just you've not got a solution for it yet. Do you know what I mean? And people always say like running a business is like everyone's on fire and you just need to try and put it out kind of thing. And it's so right. Obviously, like, it's not all up, but it's like loads of wee files and you just need to like put the right amount into each one. Do you know what I mean? But again, like, I don't want us to put people off opening a gym because it can kind of sound like that. But it's just like, it is an absolute graft. Like, and see, you just need to kind of speak to other people, I think, who have already got a gym. Because I wish, if I could look back and like start this again, my main thing would be just to talk to somebody else who's opened the gym. Like, what problems did you do in your first year?
Did you do any of that beforehand, or were you just like, I've got an idea, a vision? I
didn't really know anybody with funnily enough, Chris Bradley had one, right? But I didn't sign up with him at this point. But I didn't really know anybody else who had a small group PT gym. I spoke to my mate Gary. He's from Greenock. He's got a small group PT gym, but he's from like Greenock, right? And it's like, for us, let's see if I was to open a gym in Greenock like today, it'd be fully booked tomorrow. Like, I know it would be because everybody knows who I'm doing it. Up here, it's like city centre, mate, it's so competitive.
Tons of gyms.
Mate, which makes it more exciting, but when you get a client, because you're like, right, they could have went to all these different gyms and they've came to us. So like, it is a battle for every single client, essentially. But like, when somebody comes to you, you're like, right, they could have went to 25 other gyms, but they've came here. Do you know what I mean? So it's, one thing I would have definitely done is like just spoke to more people about it. Because the first year, like everybody says your first year of business is always your hardest. What I did not realise is how much everything was going to cost.
Right.
But then again, like if you speak to other people, you know that. Do you know what I mean?
Did you just go in just as you initially, or did you say to, or what? So how did the first model start? Were you just like, right, I'll open X amount of classes throughout the week, you can book in?
So I started off with like some strength and conditioning stuff, which is just classes. So it's like you just book a membership and you can sign to them. Small group PT, I made a bad decision right at the start to allow people just to do small group PT and no nutrition, no check-ins, none of that. So I was only charging like £99 a month or something, right? And
was that like 2-3 a week? Or?
So that was for two sessions a week. And I was like, right, this is... And I started looking about what other people were charging. There was people charging like $220, $250 for the exact same thing. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I was like... And then I spent a couple of months doing that and I was like, oh my God, man, I'm doing this all wrong, man. I was like, Chris, I need your help. I'm like, fuck this. I'm not doing this myself, man. Why did I decide to do this myself?
Yeah. Why did you? Because you would normally...
Mate,
you said, was you just
in my head, I had this idea of the way I wanted it to go. But I think I was just like... I wasn't like 100% certain on the things I was doing. So I just needed more help, basically. Definitely. Because I hadn't ran a small group PT like model before. So I just messaged Chris and I was like, Chris, I need help with my pricing, I need help with getting clients, I need help with my ads, I need help with everything, mate.
Yeah.
So help me, please.
And when did things start changing and you start like, I don't think the stress or anxiety or anything ever leaves, but when does it start getting easier?
After your first year, man.
Aye.
I always said to Hannah, like, I just can't wait to get this first year under my belt, just so I can like get a feel of what things are like. Because it's like your money is so up and down in the first year, like you just don't know what's what, unless you're just so emotionally attached to everything. You know what I mean? So like until you like you get that first year under your belt and you're like, right, okay, this is all right, like we're fine. But it kind of goes, the first year, it's like the money goes like that, and then it starts to kind of come back up again. Once you kind of get to that wee dip here, it's fine.
What was the dipping point? Was that just getting more structure with
my clients, mate? So we since working with Chris, like I've come up, I think we're at like 45 small group PT clients now. So like we're in a surplus basically now, whereas we were a constant deficit right through until like June or something. And then that's when like we kind of start to get
savings getting eaten into each one.
Oh mate, honestly, it was such a killer. I was like, Hannah, like, I was like, if we made the right decision here, should we have invested this money into something else? If I fucked it,
yeah,
like,
you see all the crypto going through the roof, and you're like, oh no.
I know. And then like for instance, we had the 1 year anniversary in January, and you're seeing everybody all dressed up, like all happy, smiling. The big like Sunday session, 40 people at sessions, high fiving each other. Like you see them at High Rocks, and you're like, right, this is what it's all about. Like it's stressful. It's like you've got all these kind of problems and issues that you're dealing with, but you start to see everybody all coming together, and you're like, right, this is what it's all about. This is what all stress is for. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously you start getting paid more as well. Do you know what I mean?
What, you get married in that first year as well?
Oh, mate,
was that always planned?
Yeah.
Aye. So another like big decision to like
financially. So one thing I would say is financially, like we were all right because her mum and dad like put a lot of money towards the wedding. My mum and dad put a decent amount of money towards the wedding as well. So like we were like, we didn't have that massive financial constraint where like some people spend like 30 to 40 grand on a wedding and things like that, man, which is absolutely mental. We wouldn't have been able to get married if it wasn't for her mum and dad. Do you know what I mean? So like there was also still a lot of stress, like because obviously you're just trying to arrange things and all that, and Hannah's getting stressed because she's like, obviously arranging all this stuff with her mum and all that sort of stuff. I always say like, and she sure laughs at me for it. Like in the speech and all that, I was like, basically all we need to do is just turn up in a kilt. Like she pretty much did everything. Do you know what I mean? So like it's probably more, for me it was probably secondhand stress. Do you know what I mean? Like because obviously Hannah was stressed.
Yeah.
But it's like you were kind of, she was dealing with my stress for the gym. I was dealing with her stress for the wedding. So it was like, it was a tough year. Do you know what I mean?
I was gonna say, how was the relationship kind of through that? Was it quite
Your relationship
Hard on.
definitely changes. Like, see when all that's happening, because like obviously I'm working all the time now. Like 24/7, all I can think about is how can I make this better? Like all the time I'm like, right, I've made $1,000 this month extra. Like, what will I invest it in to make gym better? She's just like, can we go on holiday yet? She's like, have you made enough to go on holiday yet? No, she's not that at all. But it's just like, she's so good. Like Hannah, like, see if it wasn't for Hannah, I don't think I'd be able to do this. Because like she helps me like with things like my diary, my branding. Like she helps me with so much, mate. Like anytime I've got an event coming on, she helps me arrange like loads of different wee things and stuff like that. Gives me loads of ideas, content ideas, like all that kind of sort of stuff. Like, and I was like that to Hannah before. I was like, do you think we should invest this money into this or not? She's like, just fucking go for it, man.
Yeah,
Like,
he's a biggest supporter.
aye, 100%. Like she's always pure on my side. And like, see when I come home and I'm like, fuck, like something's happened, something's broke, or like something's happened in the gym that's just pure like annoyed me.
Aye.
She would always be like, it's all right, it's fine, it'll be all right tomorrow. Like it'll be fine tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like just relax.
That's good to hear. So you think there's ever going to be a world where you are both in the same sort of business together, or do you think that will never happen?
Mate, my honest, like, one of my main goals is to like have Hannah at a point where she doesn't need to work full time, which is like, it's not that far away. Do you know what I mean? And I'll be honest, like, I don't pay all the bills in the house, but I want to be paying all the bills in the house, and I want her to not be working full time. Hannah's basically working full time for me anyway. She ask her to do for me all the time. She also does a lot of like, she'll come in and do a lot of content in that as well, like with the camera and stuff like that. Anytime we get an event on, she's always behind the camera. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant.
But I'd love for there to be a space for Hannah somewhere, whether that is, I think Hannah'd be a fucking class coach. Like, I just think she'd be so good at it. Because I see her with like, when she comes in and does some of the sessions every now and again, like she'll be with like one of my clients or whatever. And I see how she pushes other people. Like she would be class as a coach. Like so good.
Aye. Yeah, the seed could be there then.
We'll see.
Shifting.
We'll see.
So see, like, what about like building out a team? Do you get some people that will take some classes for you? How is that to do as a business owner? Because I feel like, well, me in particular, it's one of the things, probably why I've sat in the small group model for so long and not done anything. So I'm like, don't know if I want to hand that trust over.
I think, so me and Shona are partners in High Rocks that we do, in the hybrid thing that we do together. Obviously it's in my gym, but it's like we're partners in it. So that's not as such taking on, that's taking like, on staff. But I've just took on 2 members of staff for small group PT. But I think it's like, if you've got clients who are like PTs, you'll probably find that you'll kind of learn to trust them and stuff like that. People who have been in your community, people who know your community. Do you know what I mean? Because one of the biggest things for me is like they actually know the people in my community, and I'll just go like people in my gym and things like, what do you think about Lisa? Like, do you like her, but what do you think about Lisa? And then they'll tell me like how, oh, Lisa's lovely, she's a nice lassie, blah 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 blah. That's one of the main ways I think you can kind of find out whether to take on somebody as staff or not. And then obviously Lisa was just in for her first session last Friday there. She's obviously integrating into the community, and like she's a good coach as well, and she's somebody who I actually really really like, really really respect, and our content is very client focused. So like I think one of the most important things when taking on staff is that the person that you're taking on needs to be so client focused, because there is coaches and stuff like that out there that I could ask to be like whatever, and I just don't think that they're like, they immerse themselves into their clients the way I want people to do. Like for me, it's like when my client comes to me and goes, Harry, look, I want this result. That then I'm like, I want that result. I want that result for you.
Take that on for you.
So now it's my goal too. Do you know what I mean? That's the type of people that I want working for me. Do you know what I mean? And people that just like live by like the standards that we live by. Do you know what I mean?
The same kind of role. So is it been quite good to like free up more time then and become more of a, instead of feel like you're that person that's putting out all the fires, you've got other people that's helping you put out the fires?
Just now it's not quite like that just yet. So she'll be shadowing for a while, and then eventually I'll take a step back. So there's Lisa and then there's Anna as well. So they'll be running some sessions together. And I'll be able to just kind of take a step back and focus on what's actually happening, like within the business, like the ads, just the background stuff that makes the business run smoothly. Do you know what I mean? So I'm actually really, really looking forward to it.
Is that a new chapter then
Mate, I
for
know.
yourself?
I can finally like go for like. Don't get me wrong, I'll always be a coach, but I can kind of pull away a wee bit for being a coach to be more of a business owner and actually developing other coaches to coach the way I like.
I think broader.
And, exactly.
So let's talk about like going from like bodybuilding to High Rocks in terms of communities, because everybody likes to throw shade and throw hate from both sides there. You've been in both worlds.
Yeah.
What's your biggest pet peeve with the whole High Rocks space in there?
Mate, I've not even got a like, I'm going to say the running community, right? Right.
Right.
It's many because the runners have obviously come over as well, right, mate? Running snobbery, man. It just it fucking annoys me, mate. Like, it annoys me that guys who have been running for a while, like, oh, you can't wear those trainers. You only run a fucking X 5K.
Oh, is that what was being said?
Mate.
Really?
Oh, you can't wear a Garmin because you've only been running for 6 months.
Right.
Like,
So it's like
shit. Like, because they've been running for a long time. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, fair enough. Like, for the average person, right, whatever. Why can they not? Do you know what I mean? Why can they not wear it? Like, why can you not just go and buy a Balenciaga t-shirt and go on a night out, even though you hardly drink that much? Do you know what I mean? Like, you should
same
well
energy.
It's like, I just feel like there's a lot of like, you shouldn't be allowed to do this because you can't do that. And I'm just like, see, if you want to go and pay, obviously I've got alpha flies. This is why I'm triggered. It's like, see, if you want to go buy a £300 pair of running trainers, go and buy them. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to spend fucking £600 on a watch, go and buy it. See, it really annoys me. Like, just the way some
It's
people
mad how
are.
like the camps from bodybuilding, CrossFit, High Rocks, runners, like insert anything, there's always the new thing on the scene. It will always get shade.
Oh,
always
I know,
get
mate.
stuff
I
like
know.
thrown that way.
There's not really much. I can't really think of anything in High Rocks that really annoys me that much, to be honest.
Nah.
Mate, I fucking love the High Rocks community so much, mate. It's so like, I've never seen a community that is so supportive. Obviously, you've got the wee competitive people who are always like, oh, I could beat them. Like in training and that, like, I ran faster than X, or I did wall balls faster than him. But I'm like, still training, but he did his actual High Rocks faster than you. Shut up.
Aye, it doesn't matter. It's like,
Like, it's just training. Like, but that, I seen that in bodybuilding, ish. I seen that in
I think it's-
jiu-jitsu. I seen that in MMA. I seen that in everything. Do you know what I mean? It's like, people will turn up to training to compete. Whereas it's like, I remember my mate used to always say, like, you've only got so many fights in you, so don't be fighting in training. Do you know what I mean? Like, treat training like training.
aye, training is different.
And treat competing like competing. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really have many peeves about High Rocks, I don't think.
So you guys went and done it yourselves. Like, you done one for yourself. What's it like getting a client to then go do one? That must be quite cool.
That's class. It's
go
cool. I don't know. It just it doesn't ever get boring having a client in like a High Rocks, or see when they see. I always make sure that I'm on the other side of the finish line to see them straight after it, because that's when you see them at their pure happiest, like
the dun kicks in,
buzzing, like.
because halfway through you're like, why the fuck am I doing this, man?
They're at the last 10 wall balls, and they're like, that's when that fucking runner's high, it hits you, man, and you're like, try to sprint across the finish line, and they come across the line, they're so happy. Even more so if it's the second time that they've crossed the finish line and they've got a PB, they're like just fucking buzzing, absolutely
it's
buzzing.
like the training, just like the amount.
I think like for me, it's like, so I was like, back in the day, I would coach bodybuilders. So I'm coaching like fucking proper, like, I'm not saying proper athletes as if they're no athletes, but they're like, these guys are an absolute fucking like mad nick. They live, breathe. Not everybody who does High Rocks lives and breathes it, right? But people who do bodybuilding do. Like, they're eating their fucking chicken, rice and broccoli 4 times a day. A bowl of oats in the morning, a bowl of oats at night, doing an hour of cardio, training every single day, right? That is like proper commitment with bodybuilding, right? Getting other supplements in. Whereas you've got the average person in High Rocks, so like, and you get to coach normal people. So let's see, seeing them people cross, I get more of a dunt from those types of people crossing the finish line than if I had a client who ran across and done a sub 60. Because it's just like, it's normal everyday people. They're my favourite people to train.
Yeah.
My favourite people to coach.
Well, it's because you know what it's done to your, what fitness has done to your life. It's showed up many different things that you've pursued. But you're right, like that. They're the people that we're trying to inspire more. Like, we've got enough, like, seeing bodybuilders or seeing like your top % athlete, these people don't look at them and go, oh, I want that. They look at that and go, oh, I could never do that. And see, when you change that mindset of someone going from I can't to I can, nothing does beat that.
No, it's amazing.
I think maybe for you and maybe me being the coach, you want to like try and win, as we said when you go to those things, but that'll bring a different done. That's your own personal goals, but when it comes to this other stuff, like that's what you want to see.
I think for the longest time that I've coached, I've always got more excited about my clients than I have about myself, and I think that really tells you whether you're a coach or an athlete.
Aye, where are you running?
Like, how do you feel when you cross the finish line versus how do you feel when your clients cross the finish line? Like, and for me, it's always like when my clients cross the finish line, I just feel so proud and so chuffed and so happy. And especially if they've crossed with a PB, and you know the amount of effort, you know how hard it's been, like you know everything that they went through to get it. Like, it's always just such a good feeling. Do you know what I mean?
It can be topped. So you're, from a business model side of things, started running simulations. Is that just to help clients, or is that actually a business model you're going to push going forward? Because I think I see a lot of gyms doing it, and obviously it's not like a big money maker, that, but there's definitely a space in the market for going out and trying that sort of stuff.
It's definitely like, I mean, I see gyms that do some simulations every month. I'm just like, man, it's a bit nuts. But I think from see when there's an event coming up like Glasgow, you need something in the middle. Like, and I think because people start to kind of lose focus a wee bit, and if they know they've got that simulation coming up, they stay zoned in, because this is normal everyday people. Obviously, the actual athlete guys, like, they'll just be zoned in all the time. It's hard to actually pull them out yet.
Training too much.
I like going to stop training 3 times a day. You're going to get injured. But I think, like, I love the simulation day. Like, see, the vibe in a gym, it's unmatched on the simulation day, because everybody's in, and like, you'll have like best mates in a gym who come and watch each other, and they'll be like on the wobbles, so like, come on, like pure screaming and bawling at each other. And then we'll get people into the gym as well, which is something we just started on the last simulation. I just put a message into a group chat, and I was like, does anybody fancy doing a wee bit of like judging? Like, you give your members a wee bit of like responsibility, and they fucking love it, mate. Give them a clicker, mate. See that wee power trip, man. They love that wee power trip. Tell you that.
That's good.
We gave one to Lisa for the seminar, just for the simulation, just there. She was loving it. She's like, click, no rep, no rep. She was loving it.
You bastard, I'm gonna remember that. You're doing yours.
I know. So
that's actually been better for you from a community bonding standpoint.
For the community, and also see people who have never done a high rocks before and they're about to do their first one. She's just getting them going and doing it, going like, right, you've just proved you can do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, even like, mate, our Super Sunday sessions that we do like usually an hour and 15, hour and 20. A lot of it, I would argue that most of the high rocks I've done weren't as hard as a lot of the sessions that we do on a Sunday. But again, it's like, it's not high rocks. So for me, it's like, right, let's do a Sunday session. Let's do a simulation. Prove that you can actually complete it. Gives you that bit of confidence to go, right, I did it in the gym, so surely I can do it in an arena when I'm full of adrenaline.
Aye.
All my mates are there, all my family's there.
And
do you know what I mean?
But like, there's hundreds of athletes, like, or hundreds of people competing, should I say. What's been like one of the biggest highlights then for where you're at now, from kind of looking back?
Mate, I'm just so proud of myself. Like, see, like, I always remember in school, like, my teachers would always be like, I was a wee dick in school, to be fair, right? Like, you're going to amount to nothing, yeah, blah, blah. I remember, I had a teacher called Mr. Watt, and he would be like, do you want, like, the good car? Do you want the hoosh? Do you want a wife? Do you want all this stuff? He was the only person that kind of understood me a wee bit. Mate, I'm definitely ADHD, like 100%. I just can't concentrate when I'm doing stuff that I don't like. So he would always kind of sit down with me and be like, blah, blah, blah. But there was always other teachers that would be like, you're not going to amount to anything, blah, blah, blah. And obviously, like, a lot of my mates who done degrees, all that kind of sort of stuff, I never did any of that stuff. And then I've ended up in a better position than them. So I think for me, just looking at where I was when I was like that 15, 16, maybe even 19-year-old boy overweight, like, I could have never have dreamed of doing any of that stuff. Never mind the high rocks or any of that stuff, but like, actually coming in, and I've had the opportunity, like, I'm so grateful for it. I've had the opportunity to bring people from where I was when I was unhappy, overweight, like, hated everything about myself, to then, mate, like, I don't care if people say that I'm posing or I love myself, right? Because I genuinely do, right? Because I used to hate myself. That is literally why. So, like, see, getting people to go from that hating themselves to loving themselves, it's amazing that I get that opportunity. Like,
look what other areas of your life start to, like, doors start to open, because
100%.
energy can be perceived, can't it? So,
mate, like, so much, like, it's like, especially see with the lads and that, like they'd be scared to like ask a lassie on a date and things like that. Then they're going and like asking a 10 out of 10 and she's like aye, and he's like, Harry, this lassie said aye. Like,
Confidence.
Aye, and just like, especially like mums and dads, like being the parent, like happy to turn up to the school gates now because they're in better shape and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Just all that stuff. Like, you don't realise the impact that fitness has got on people until they start telling you that stuff, and you're like, fucking hell, man, I just got you into shape.
How different is it getting, so the whole transformation with clients and getting them in shape from being in your bodybuilding days to this more of a hybrid approach where there is a wee bit more metrics in terms of performance that you can pull from? Is it different at all, or is it just kind of evolved a wee bit?
They say only 1% of people do bodybuilding, and it's like, I would honestly say it's 0.5%. Like, it's so hard, mate. Like, it genuinely is. You need to be so disciplined, like, every single day. Like, it's like you're eating the same shit every day, you're training the same way every day. Like, it's so tough, like, to keep yourself zoned in on that kind of lifestyle. Do you know what I mean?
Mentally into it. I think that was the play back in the day into it. It's like, get yourself in good shape, do a show, do well, and then you have the credentials to go, here, look, I can now help you with your fitness. Which I think, but I don't think that model works as much as
it's not for everybody, that kind of that lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? But what I would say is like that hybrid approach is for everybody, apart from those 0.5% of people. Do you know what I mean?
You want to do other things, yeah.
Exactly, because I've still got a couple of clients and stuff like that who do what I do, like photo shoots and all that, and want to get absolutely diced, and I'm like, right, cool, no worries. I enjoy it a bit more now because I'm actually dealing with less people.
Yeah.
But when I was dealing with loads of people, I was getting people on stage and all that, I was like, I actually hate coaching bodybuilders. Because all I'm getting off them is they're moaning that they're hungry, they're moaning that they're doing too much cardio. Like, I'm just like, when they're prepping for stuff, obviously when they're bulking, it's fine. And I'm like, I can't be asked
Same
for
repetitive conversations.
Exactly. I want to actually deal with real people with real problems. Do you know what I mean? And it's easier, believe it or not. Obviously, there's a lot more problems that you need to obviously help them solve and stuff like that. But you've got so many more things at your disposal to help them. Do you know what I mean? You can make their training more exciting. You can make their diet more exciting. Like, you've got the community events, you've got all this different stuff. Bodybuilders can go to a community event because there's probably drink at it, and they're just like, they just totally disassociate themselves with stuff like that.
I think that's why they tend to gel with other people that's in the same field and that. But you can't really do that outside the gym, can you?
No.
It's completely different. So, see, looking ahead to this year, obviously Glasgow coming up, got a lot of the guys, a lot of people.
We've got about Glasgow. 50, 60, maybe.
What's being a gym owner, competing against other gym owners? Where's where's your headspace at with that?
So I actually had this conversation with Shona recently, right? So you've obviously got like AFIT, you've got Functional, you've got Elation, you've got Greater Than, you've got another couple of gyms, right? And I was like, the other day, man, I was like, I feel like a bit of an imposter to a certain extent sometimes, but obviously I was definitely being too hard on myself for the simple fact that I'm like, every one of those gym owners have podiumed, right? And I'm like, and I've not.
Is that a bit of pressure then coming for that?
I felt a bit of pressure, but then I sat and spoke about it, but she was like, and Dave, he's my 1-to-1 coach, like we do one session a week, and he was like, Harry, you need to remember like where you came from. It's like, they've been doing that style of training for a long time. Like, you've been training for like 18 months. So like, I think there was always that thing where I guess there's always that thing where you just want to like have a flag to show it off to people. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm like, I get into this to enjoy it. I didn't get into win High Rocks. I didn't get into like be the best High Rocks gym. I get into it to be like, I would say like we're one of the most accessible High Rocks gyms, because see, when I look at other gym communities, like what I always notice is everybody is shredded, diced, taps off. Like, I don't want to be that gym. I want to be the gym that everybody turns around and goes, you know what? I'm class. I want to get better, I'll go with them. Also, I'm just a normal everyday person, I'll go with them. So there is a certain level of pressure, 100%. I'm not going to say there's not. But for me, I'm not doing it to be like better than any of those gyms. I'm doing High Rocks to enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? And I'll PB and I'll get better and better and better. And maybe I will this year, like, be like, right, I'm ready to start competing against other gyms or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But at the minute, like, I'm not trying to be the best gym at High Rocks. I'm just trying to be the gym that actually doesn't put too much pressure on myself for doing it, but actually to enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
You wonder if what those communities like when, because everybody's like, yous are all going to be there at Glasgow, for example, and seeing everybody's branding and all that sort of stuff. I was just wondering from like a mentality side, you're like, make sure you fucking beat them.
No, it's funny because I was actually saying that to somebody the other day. So we've got Fitness Frontier right below us, right? and they'll probably listen back to this maybe, I don't know. I always say to my guys, I'd like, you see anybody with an FF t-shirt on, you better fly past them. Because
we're the same block.
We use the exact same block. I'm like, you better fly past them. Obviously just joking, but not really.
But also, like, to that point, like the conversation around small group gyms, so many of them are popping up, and it's enough for everybody to go around. You find your niche.
Aye, I know.
I think it's important what you said though, is trying not to be someone else, but you're always going to have that imposter syndrome within you. It's like, maybe I should start doing all this sort of stuff. It's like, stick with what you enjoy, stick with what you know as well.
I think I got good at what I do because I just be myself.
Yeah.
Like on social media, like you'll know, like, from meeting me, because we've only met like twice, you'll know that what you see on social media is what you get in real life. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like, I don't put on an accent, I don't speak a certain way, I don't like try and act as if I'm smarter than I am, or speak using language that's above me. Do you know what I mean? So like, I think for me, it's always like just making everything that I run and everything that I create me. So I'll watch my content back, like, before I post it, and I'll be like, is that me? Because I'll be like, it doesn't really sound like me. Sometimes I'll like, every now and again I'll start talking about something and I'll get dead, like, I'll start getting pure into it, and then my accent and that changes, and I'm like, fuck, I need to do that again now.
Where did that come from?
Where the hell did that come from? I don't speak like that. Just blame Hannah for it, because she's obviously from Inverness. She's got the Inverness accent.
Oh, right, okay.
So every day I get start like sounding pure posh. I'm like, nah,
That's
it's not me.
you.
It's not me. But it's vice versa for her as well, because she'll say things slang. Aye.
That's funny. Where the brand's going next, where your gym's going next, you were saying, like, before we started recording, definitely maybe needing bigger space, or like where you want to go. So talk me through like what your day-to-day looks like. So Wednesdays, like, you'll break that up, you'll break the week up with like a quieter day. Like,
Wednesday's my quiet day.
So talk us through your like routine as a gym owner, I guess, as a small group.
Of course. So Monday we've got our first two sessions, 6:15 a.m, 7:15 a.m. Then I leave. Me and Shona actually meet in Costa. We've got check-ins to do for we're running a High Rocks program just now, Project GLA, which is into its last month before High Rocks Glasgow. So we go do our check-ins, just go over the numbers, just what any problems that we're kind of not too sure of how to deal with, speak about that. Then I'll head back to Shawlands, where I'm from, and I'll just kind of go over my own clients' check-ins, have a wee look at who's maybe not checked in for the week. Yeah. See why have they not checked in? Do you know what I mean? I do a thing that's called a RAG, which is something that Chris gets me to do, which is red, amber, green. So each client does red, amber. I do red, amber, green for them, and that's kind of just based off of a couple of things. So it's based off of like, have they checked in? How many sessions have they done this week? What have they been saying in the sessions and stuff like that? Do you know what I mean? And that's the kind of first part of my day. Then about 10 o'clock we do the coaches check-in with Chris and all the MRR guys, and we kind of he'll cover a subject, whether that's on like, I don't know, like how to get more clients or whatever, sales, whatever.
Just get a bit more inspiration in that.
And you find out what other people are doing. Like, it's nice as well, because sometimes, like, see when you're kind of feeling you've had a wee bit of a shit week, because you don't go in every week feeling amazing, right? Sometimes, like, if you've not had a good week, somebody else, like Chris will say, how you all feeling today? And you'll get a lot of people going, I feel amazing, blah, blah, blah. And then people are like, I feel a wee bit shite, never made any sales this month, this week, or something happened or whatever. And then you can kind of relate to it. So it's good. The community's been amazing for that. After that, I'll get home, chill for a bit, get some food, train. And then I'm back into the gym at 5:15, got a session, 6:15, got a session. And then just head back.
So is it 4? Did you roughly do about 4 a day then? Has that been like the sweet spot, what you found?
Aye, but I'm going to put on some like daytime stuff, right? Or some lunchtime stuff. Yeah. Aye. Tuesday's quite similar, but there's no check-ins on a Tuesday. It's kind of more business work. I'm running an ad just now as well, so I'll be checking the ads throughout the day, getting back to people who have inquired and stuff like that. Wednesday's my favourite day of the week. So Wednesday, got up at about 7 a.m, which is a really fucking late rise for me these days.
It's crazy for any PT.
4:45, man. That's probably when I got up every day. 4:45, 5 a.m. Hannah goes to a bar class, so it's the only day that she leaves the bed before me, and it's fucking glorious, mate. Honestly, it feels amazing.
Ria will to jump up.
Ria will usually jump in, have a wee hug for a while, and then we go a walk at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's like the only time that I feel like I can actually just switch off. and just go the walk. So it's the one thing I've been so disciplined with, and you know what it's like. It's so hard to discipline yourself not to do work. So it's the one thing I've been disciplined with, and I've kept in. People have been asking me, "Can we do a Wednesday session? Can we do this? Can we do that?" Like, nah, Wednesday's my day. Like,
I like the boundary that you've created there.
I'll do some check-ins on a Wednesday, and it's usually the day that I do my one-to-one session with my coach Dave. So it's a hard session, so I can ease myself into the day, get my nutrition like on point, like all that kind of sort of stuff. Because you know what it's like when you're running back and forth, you miss meals and you miss water intake and all that stuff, supplements and that. Session at 5:15, session at 6:15, and that's it. That's what's on that day. And I've got some check-ins and stuff to do on a Wednesday. I moved my clients still check in on a Monday. I moved my day for feedback to a Wednesday. So like Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night kind of thing.
So you get 2 days, you can kind of touch them off.
Thursday is the exact same as Tuesday. Friday we only do, Friday I do a 6 a.m. session, 7 a.m. session, and that's it. I was working 6 p.m., 7 p.m. on a Friday, right at the very start, but I just dropped them. I was like, until I get another coach in to take over that for me, I'm just going to drop it just now.
Oh, so people were showing up, but it's more like the
It was quite quiet as well. It was like it was the sessions where I was like, do you know what, I can kind of get away with pulling that one back, because it was like maybe like 4 people in each session, and then I just added a that was where the Thursday night session came from, so I moved that to that.
Got you. What do you cap your small group numbers at? Are you?
It's currently at 8,
right?
But with the new coaches coming on board, I was originally going to make it 1 to 6, so it was like 12 people. But what I think I'm going to do, I've not actually decided yet, but I think I'm going to do 1 to 5. So it's like 10 people in each session. I feel like that's better.
Sweet spot, yeah.
But then it's a case where I'm like, right, I just bought an extra squat rack for maybe to use
there.
it. I just made the 2 of them, honestly, see, because I know it's not starting until March. The 2 squat racks are just sitting in cardboard boxes. I've still not built them yet. And I'm like, I need to get that extra, see the thing, man, the wrench thing. The wrench thing, that shows you how much I know about that shit, right?
That's why you chose PT life.
I know. I need to go buy another one. I've lost the big one, like for the big squat racks.
Right.
And I said to Hannah, I was like, I've lost it. Like, I'll just need to wait until I go get one.
Then.
So I've got until March to get it built, so I'll probably build it on the 28th.
Difficult, eh? That's good. So that's when like the model's maybe going to change a wee bit more and see the next chapter.
Aye.
In terms of space wise, then you think you'll give it another year, or what's the like in an ideal world, everything goes your way this next year. What do you think you would want to be?
I really love our space right now. So the only thing I can really do in the current space is we've got a fucking massive desk, right? For some reason, I've got a big, massive reception desk. It looks fucking quality, right? So when you come into a gym, it looks so professional. Usually when you come into functional gyms, I always find like it kind of lacks a bit of a professional touch, right? And I think for me, I went on to what's it called again? Pinterest, right? And I was looking for a desk, right? And I wanted the lights to be under it and all that, right? So I went and got it built. And I love it, right? But also, see if I get rid of it, it gives me enough space. So we're going to bring in 2 new runners, right? It gives me enough space to basically have all the racks on one side. So we can have 6 racks on the one side, and then it frees up all the space on the other side. But it looks class.
You like to find something else.
So more than likely, I'll probably get rid of it. But it's sad because I've only had it for like 12 months. Do you know what I mean? That's the other thing as well. Like we did a lot of work on the interior of the gym, because obviously nowadays it's not just about getting results, it's about like people taking pictures and liking what they see and all that, because nobody will post it on social media if it doesn't look good, right? So we spent a lot of money doing the inside of the gym. So in an ideal world, I would like to keep that place and have another unit on top of it. I think that would be like perfect for us.
You always going to be in Glasgow?
So I've been toying with this idea, and I said to Chris recently, so I do at some point want to open greater than Greenock. I can tell you for absolute certainty it will happen at some point. I don't know when that will be.
You just know the demand's there.
The demand's there. My name in Greenock is like, I'm like one of the original PTs who did fat loss and like got loads of fucking amazing results. So at some point it will happen. I just don't know when that will be. I would love to have gyms scattered about, and close enough to Glasgow. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, just a night.
I feel like the model that we've got with the small group PT, we've kind of nailed it a wee bit.
Good.
So I definitely think I'll have gyms in different places in like the next 4 or 5 years.
Where does Greaterland, where does the name come from? Where did you come up with that?
So, see, years ago, right, there was an event, right, and it was Tiesto and Calvin Harris, right, and it was called Greaterland, right. That's the first time I ever seen the Greaterland logo, because I've got no clue about maths. It's the maths logo for Greaterland, right? I don't know if you know that.
I didn't even know that. In fact, I knew that was what that meant, but I didn't put two and two together.
Aye, so
that's quite smart.
You've got the Greaterland and the Lessland, right? But the reason we've got two arrows is even Greaterland. So it's actually even Greaterland, it means, right?
Right.
However, so my whole thing was always like, when you step foot in the gym, you become 1% better every day. 1% greater every day. So for me, it's just like every time you step through the gym doors, you're that 1% greater, like every time. Do you know what I mean? That's it. There's no like mad thing. It's just like you're better every time you walk through the door. Every time you come here, you're going to be better. So I
came to you at Tiesto. Or was it, did you know for that day you said then?
I always said if I opened a gym, I'd call it Greaterland.
Right.
The reason I never called it Greaterland Gym is mainly because I believe Greaterland is a community, not a gym. So like Greaterland can be anywhere. It can be in Greenock, it can be in London, it could be, do you know what I mean? So
that shows like your focus is on the community side ends, and that's why that's obviously thriving. And
it's always that thing, it's like more than a gym, do you know what I mean? It's like, that's how I look at Greaterland. I don't look at Greaterland as a gym, because there's like so many aspects to it that aren't a gym, like the stuff that happens outside, the events that happen outside, like the communicating with your client outside. It's not just a gym that you turn up to, pay a membership and then go and train. Do you know what I mean? You get a community, you get a coach, you get like communication for your coach and results, obviously.
The community side of things, has there been anything, has that been hard to like get, or do you feel that's been quite natural for you? Because at the end of the day, people in a room and work out, the community starts to form anyway, but there's definitely things you can do to enhance that and make it better.
I think, so one thing I had when I was in Greenock, I never had any clique in my gyms. Obviously there's like one big clique and there's like slight wee cliques within the clique, right? One thing I'll always notice is that people who don't know each other, I partner them up together. Always. So they get to know each other. It's like everybody in the gym knows each other. Obviously there probably will be people that don't like each other or they don't get on or whatever, right? That I don't know about, right? But there will be some sort of thing like that going on, do you know what I mean? But I found like, I'm a type of person who will just speak to everybody. So I feel like you kind of bring in what you kind of put out, do you know what I mean? And again, I'll just like dot about chatting to everybody when there's a class on or whatever, and everybody just kind of tends to go on, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a safe, chilled environment. It's not like, again, it's, once people leave the gym, there's like no like competitiveness, do you know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of gyms that I've trained in and a lot of places that I've trained in where there's an uncomfortable competition thing going on, do you know what I mean? There's maybe like
with each other. There's
maybe like two girls who are like getting good, or there's maybe like two guys that are getting good and they kind of stay away from each other because they're like competing against each other kind of thing, whereas it's not like that in the gym. Everybody just gets on and it's like it's just creating that kind of fun, chilled, like relaxed environment. Like I don't take myself too seriously, as you know, like, and I think other people start to kind of pick up those vibes for you and they kind of start to almost kind of copy you a wee bit the way you are. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously those people kind of look up to you a wee bit. They copy your pattern and all that, and they end up starting to copy the way you are as well. So I think people realise that, and Shona's the same. She's not too serious either. So the two are pure, like relaxed people.
Well, that's when you said like about being a leader and leading that sort of stuff. That's where that comes from. You're getting what's his name, Alex, coming in to do a talk at the gym.
That's pretty cool. So I
How'd
thought
that come
like,
about? Were you just like, I'm going to fire into DMs here?
so basically we were at the finals in Nice,
right?
And Shona gave me her night out ticket. So there's a night out like after it for all the athletes and all that kind of sort of stuff. No. And me and John Middleton, and I met Ron Saviccia. And I was chatting about him and stuff like that. To be honest with you, I don't even know if he remembers this conversation, right? His twos were mad with it, right? And I was like, listen, if you're ever in Glasgow, you need to come and do a talk for my guys, man. I'd absolutely love it. And the original idea was, so I seen that Elite 15 was coming to Glasgow. So that's obviously the top 15 guys. He's going to be here, right? And I was like, class, DM. So I've also got a coach who's his coach as well, by the way.
All right.
Tiago.
All right. Okay.
And I reached out to Alex, first naming him here. Alex, my mate Alex. And I was like, look, I know you're doing Elite 15. I'm like, would you be up for coming in the day after? So that's the Wednesday, the Thursday night, doing a talk with my guys, just a mindset talk. You're literally the best guy in the world. Like, my guys would be fucking ecstatic coming in, getting a talk off the best guy that's done it, pretty much. And then the next day they're competing. Like, it's fresh in their head. It's not like you've seen them like 3 months ago and he came in to do a mindset talk 3 months ago that you forget about. Like 3 years later, do you know what I mean? He's coming in that day, going to do the talk, and then that's you're just cruising straight into High Rocks Day. And then he was originally going to do like a training session on you after it. I was like, everybody's competing after it. I said, so let's just make it a mindset talk, like race tactics, mindset, going into a race and stuff like that. And he's like, I'd be absolutely up for that. So that's on a Thursday at High Rocks.
Class.
Thursday night at 6 o'clock, which I'm absolutely buzzing for.
Aye. Does it feel real?
It's mental, mate. Like, the best guy in the world come to imagine.
I know.
What?
I wonder, because when you look at like all the other competitive gyms that's going to be in there, it'd be interesting to see how those guys are like, the fuck's he going there for?
Aye. No, 100%.
But that's got to be brilliant for your guys. Good for you as well. Are you competing in Glasgow?
I'm doing the Thursday, so I'll get the talk just after I compete. So I'll be competing about 8 or 9 or something. I wasn't even going to do Glasgow. Like I wasn't going to do a solo in Glasgow, but
done one solo shit.
I've done a solo.
Right.
I did. I did Dublin last year, and then I did Berlin, but I've not done a solo for nearly a year now. So it's exciting to see where I'm at. Lisa was I meant to do doubles with me. See the last season coach in the gym, but she's injured her knee, man. It's quite devastating, to be honest, because we placed 5th in Dublin, so we were aiming for podium. So
a wee bit of chance there as well.
Aye, defo. And in Glasgow as well, that'd have been stunning.
I know, because it's everybody's going to know everybody there. Because you see a lot of familiar faces. Is there any like hate, or maybe no hate's the right word, but like, I don't know, shade or like side eyeing for like other gyms and that, or is everybody mean? You think there's?
I don't think so, man. Like, see, because I don't do it. Like, I honestly don't give a fuck what anybody else is up to. Like, I genuinely don't. Like I say, like the only person I really see on social media, I see Jerry putting his big picture up with all the guys. I see Thingy's just opened their new gym at Elation. Like, I fucking love seeing people doing well. I want to see them all do well, because every single one of the gyms in Glasgow can all do well. And
there's enough people,
mate. Like,
what do you need? Like 100, if that.
Not even, mate.
Maybe even, I was going to say maybe less. Depending on the size of your unit.
I don't think there's any reason why any other gym should be like passing shade on another gym. Like, it actually, it's embarrassing if people are doing that.
It's like it's arrogance and genuinely no need for it. It's like the whole argument like with PTs. It's like, oh, is PT market saturated? It's like, no, they're not. Look at the world of health and fitness.
It's saturated with crap, people. That's why it looks saturated, and they'll not even be here next year. Do you know what I mean? That's what I always say. Like, who was it who was talking to me the other day? Somebody was saying to me, like, the podcast industry's saturated, and I was like, it is, but it's not, because the people who aren't good at it won't be there next year.
But also, it's also a biased opinion, whoever's saying it, when you think about it. It's like they see a lot of podcast clips, so their view is going to be that, but this is why I like this, because everybody's got a story to tell, and I know this will go up like and be a shelf life of forever of somebody's like conversation. I've got episodes, episode I think it's 27 we done way back like 2-3 years ago, and it was like how to get shredded in 8 weeks. That episode still gets about 30-40 listens a week from random people, and I'm like, don't listen to that one, I'm a shite, listen to the most one. The quality and everything's on it, it's mad.
That one.
Right, we'll start to wrap up, but if you had to like do everything over again, then what would you change anything to, obviously even then like that leads you to where you are, but is there anything that you look back on from going from finding your passion, your love to what you've done to owning your own place and where you want to go next? Is there anything you would have done differently, like location, place that you
I would just take risks faster, man. Especially with the gym, like I'd have opened the gym sooner. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Too comfortable.
Like, just don't be scared to take risks. Obviously calculated risks, right? Don't be a fanny. But like, don't be scared to take risks, because it's like you will regret it at some point. Do you know what I mean? And like, that's what I always say to everybody. Like, what would I change? Sometimes I think to myself, maybe it would have been nice to have another person to run a gym with. But then I'm like, at the same time, like, I've went through all this stress myself, so then I get to I get the prize at the end for me. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes I'm like, there was points at like maybe the 4, 5, 6 month point. I was like, honestly, wish somebody else was dealing with this stress at the same time, so I could be like, so we could talk about it.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? The only thing I would change about my fat loss journey is I would lift weights.
Aye.
Like way earlier, because I went from one insecurity to a new insecurity, and this is one thing that I think a lot of people don't realise when they're losing weight. They get fixated on the scales going down the way. Like, brilliant, the more I lose, the better. But that's not necessarily a thing. If you're a guy, you want to lose as little weight as possible if you're lifting weights, because you're obviously going to look fucking massive at the end of it. Big shoulders, chest, and all that kind of sort of stuff, not just like a skinny dweeb.
Did you see other things like your energy like changing? Did you feel weak and all this sort of stuff?
My energy levels come up a bit, man. Definitely. Because I wasn't like I was drinking every weekend when I was overweight. Drinking every weekend, like just I don't drink pints ever anymore. Like I actually only went back to drinking pints again last year. I had a couple of Madries last year. Madries class. But other than that, I don't drink pints because it gives me the fear, because it makes me think of like back then when I was overweight. Energy levels were so low. Like also just your thoughts, the way you think about things. Like because obviously I think that's probably just the after effect of just alcohol and stuff like that.
Just the down, the hit, the fear or the depression or whatever. Come down. It's just like a catch 22 into it.
100%. So like energy levels were all definitely higher, but like as soon as I took away like alcohol and all the shit, my energy levels were so much higher. The only thing I would say is like I did definitely feel self-conscious because I was skinnier again. And not again, sorry, skinny.
Aye. Is that, I guess this is an important question to ask, going from the bodybuilder to high rocks and losing, I guess, size and muscle mass, is the insecurity still there?
I think there always will be an insecurity for me. Like, especially because obviously I hold more body fat now, right? But again, that's my fault because I'm not eating exactly pure clean as fuck, right? For a while, I compared a lot of my personality was in my physique, and when I was shredded, more so than when I was like bulked up. Do you know what I mean? So like when you go from like your first ever time being absolutely diced, right, to like not being anymore, it's unforgiving. Like it's like you just don't know how to deal with it because you're like, right, I was pure shredded.
You were known as the shredded guy, and then your confidence lacks in the social situations. You're like wearing baggy stuff, hoodies.
You're still so much leaner than everybody else, so much bigger than everybody else, but you're scared to take your top off because you're like, but what if they look at me and go like, you didn't look like that 6 weeks ago?
It's mad the body dysmorphia you get from it.
Aye, it's wild, mate. And it's like, again, the worst my body's dysmorphia has ever been / anxiety about how I look and feel is when I was like 2 or 3 weeks out for a show, 4 weeks out for a show. It's like you're like
top 0.01% physique.
Thinking to myself, I'm not lean enough, I'm not big enough. Like
because of the environment though that you're in.
And do you know what it always reminds me? It's like when like we kind of skinnier lassies used to be like, oh, I feel so fat. And then the way fat people probably feel when they hear that, they'd be like, what, mate?
It's like different.
Look at you.
It's crazy.
You're shredded, mate. Chill out.
Well, it's good. Hopefully, like that's why I think you're right. You're onto something with the hybrid stuff. Like it breaks that sort of through because there's a performance on how you're performing, and obviously, like I actually put it up as a daily debate today because I seen what was it? It's like, did I post this actually? Let's see. Oh no, I've not posted it yet. It was like fitness isn't how you look; it's more how you feel, which I think can be quite a controversial one because you said it. There's like you can hold a wee bit more body fat, but you know that's based on some decisions and you're running the business and all these other things. But
it's that thing, like, see if you get shredded and you don't feel good, what's the point?
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Like, alright, cool, you've shredded, you've got a 6-pack, right, but you feel like arse every day. Like, it's not good.
Aye, well, look what you done in your last show, 1,200 calories, 90 minutes in the
I wanted to die.
Like,
I didn't actually want to die, but like...
what you wanted to get to that point and what you needed to do is like, there's a a misconception that that's what that needs to be like, and this is where you get to see experience it on a different level.
I think as well. See, if I never got that win, man, that would have been that would have been devastated, man.
Back to
absolutely
Fat Harry.
devastated. Like, fuck this, man. I'm out. I'm not PT anymore. Fuck this shit.
Back to RBS.
Aye, back to RBS. Answering the phone.
No, good. Well, look, appreciate your time. There's been a quick 2-hour conversation. Thanks for coming down. So, I'll shout out where people can find you. What would be your elevator pitch to folk if they're interested in coming in? You're in Glasgow.
I'm in Glasgow City Centre.
Aye, so how's the parking, that sort of stuff? Can people get there pretty
It's
easily?
fine. See, but the session times that we've got tend to be around when the parking's free.
Oh, perfect.
Sometimes one of the sessions goes 7:15 till 8:15. So you basically need, the parking starts at 8 and you need to pay like for the 15 minutes basically, but you need to pay for it. The wardens doing that. Oh my God, mate.
Hell. They know all the gyms are in
I
there.
hate those wardens, man. I see the rest of the wardens, I'm like, all right, fair enough. But mate, there's a wee like there's a wee building at Box Hub, right? And there's like a wee kind of door, like a wee bit with a door, right? And the warden will just sit there at 8 o'clock.
He's looked at your timetable, went 8:15. Is that right?
Mate, he walks out of that wee alcove type thing, right? Walks out of there at like 3 minutes past.
Starts ticketing
The
everybody.
earliest I've had a ticket is 4 minutes past 8.
You're meant to allow a 15-minute window, you know?
Mate, oh my God, man.
No, good. Well, what would be your pitch to folk if they're looking for?
So our general small group PT clients are the people who we work with, people who are in their 30s and above who have kind of been overweight their whole life. That's the main people that I want to work with. People who have been overweight all their life. They kind of struggled. They've kind of went to like all the kind of different like weight loss things, like Weight Watchers, all that kind of stuff. Tried everything, failed, and they need to kind of try something else. That is the people that we want to work with. We're not looking for people who are already kind of in shape, younger people who don't have any of the issues that 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds have. Actual normal people who have been overweight all their life, because obviously I've been in that position. I've helped loads of people in that position. Do you know what I mean? So that's exactly who we're looking for.
Nah, good. I'll leave a link below in the show notes to all that, but I appreciate your time. Thanks again, mate.
Thanks, mate. That was class.